damn it.
I know you're not a fan of cold weather, but even you have to be like, God damn it.
No, I'm very upset. Well, very upset being that like it was nice and brisk,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm like, well, do I bust out with my shorts again because that's how it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. I wore
But
shorts and a t-shirt over the weekend to go out and do stuff, and it made me kind of angry.
angry.
I think a cold front's coming through today, so I think it'll be
Yeah,
cooler.
it's just not what you imagine Christmas
No, of course not.
being.
Like, I don't need it to be 15 degrees in blizzard conditions, but I'd like for it to at least be like 40 or 50 degrees.
Sure.
All right, so I moved some parts around. Um, I moved, and if you disagree, you can obviously tell me. I moved biggest.
Objection.
I moved biggest news story to the first category we do because I figured we would get out of the way negative stuff because most of it's negative, and then just spend the
Yeah.
rest of the time on positive.
Yeah.
Most surprising is next. Then top 2020 game that'll get lost in the wash forever. And then top 2020 game that we will play in 21. Most anticipated 21 game. And then on to the big stuff. And I figure what we would do is we would just go over each of our list, our honorable mentions, and then we can get into the Rushmore section. And you know, duke it out for our top four. Which I don't think there'll be any duke. I don't think there'll be much duking,
No.
if I had to guess. But I
There will
I, I,
be
I
there will
think
be
that
no Texas A&M in this list.
I don't know about that. I think there'll be some duking it out a little bit for like number 4. But I think our top 3 are going to be pretty. I think they're just about set, but we'll get there. Let's see, what time is it? Okay, we're good there.
Mm.
We get there and we're just completely not on the same page, and it ends up being a
Mhm.
Skyrim, Saints
God.
Row battle royale for 3 hours. Oh God, I hope not. I want to play some Rocket League today.
Oh, I know. I've got food prepping I've got to do after this. We're making some Filipino barbecue tomorrow,
Oh hell yeah!
and I'm doing my first try at a. It's a kind of like an egg roll dessert. It's called duron,
Oh, that sounds fucking
and
awesome.
made with like brown sugar and plantains. It's wrapped up in like a, you know, like an egg roll wrap. So yeah, I'm nervous. I'm actually nervous about that one because I've never done that before, and I'm like, um, but no, I'm definitely looking forward to the next couple of days.
Yeah, same here. I'm gonna get my last. I got to pick up later. My last bit of gifts.
Okay.
So send me some. What are we sending you, Nick? Did you accidentally text the chat instead of and are you trying to get someone to send you nudes?
Oops. Oops.
All you got to do is ask Nick and I'll send them. I've got them at the ready.
I'll take a picture right now.
In fact, let me just stand up. Oh, okay. He's saying send you some of that food that you were talking about.
You know where it's at. You know exactly where it's at.
Yeah, yeah.
You, you know,
Hey,
it was your choice
yeah,
to
and also
go to
Nick,
Virginia.
you know whereabouts I live, and you do know that there are Chinese buffets very very close.
Yep, you can eat all their French fries.
We sure do, Wartel, but we also want to not have to stay up until midnight tonight and do it.
Yeah, we got to go to bed before Santa
Yeah,
doesn't come tonight. What?
Yes. Thank you, Warto. I love the background too. It works out
Oh my
great.
God, that background is
It's so good,
great.
right? I typed in video games Christmas background, and that was the first one. I'm like, well, I'm done looking.
Man.
And Nick, to answer your comment, yes, my beard is, it's real good. It's getting epic. We're gonna keep it going. Okay. Shall we?
We shall.
Shall
Let's
we do
start
this?
this.
All right, we're gonna start the show, everybody. Uh, I'm gonna click this button to start some music, and we're gonna get this going. So here we go. In 3, 2. Hey everyone! It is Wednesday, December 23rd, 20 and yuck, and you are listening to the MC Gamescast, a special edition of the MC Gamescast. I am one of your hosts, Mitchell Barrett, and I'm joined by the other host, my main man, my partner in crime, Charlie Zarzuela. Merry Christmas, Charlie! We are here!
Happy Christmas Eve.
Happy
Yay!
holidays if you're a person that wants to get rid of Christmas. My son is already interrupting us. Charlie, talk for a moment.
Okay. Well, yes, we are here. It's nice to be finally on vacation away from work. That's why we are bringing to our podcast live during the day. We're not vampires, as you can see. We're not melting, so it's nice to see the sunshine. You know, granted, it's a little bit warmer on this Texas. I guess it's afternoon now than it should be for a Christmas podcast, but we will react and relate. So
That's right.
you know,
Yeah, this is a special edition of the podcast, Charlie, not a numbered one. This is our Game of the Year Deliberations. We are at the end of the year, and we're going to talk about the year of 2020, not just the games that came out in 2020, but the all the games that you and I, Charlie, played this year, regardless of year that they came out. We don't get to play as much in terms of new games as we would like to, so we figured that we would just kind of do it as an all-encompassing thing. So that's what we thought we would do. Because we played a lot of stuff this year, especially thanks to streaming, right, Charlie?
yes, like this has definitely been one of those strange years where with pandemic and us staying home and stumbling upon this Twitch thing, we've decided to kind of take a chip at digging up old video games, new video games, filling in the video game holes, if you will, that we have missed out over the years, and playing a lot of catch up and sharing those experiences. But it's definitely a fun ride, and I think that this ride will continue onward and upward. So.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, this podcast ain't going anywhere. We say it a billion times. We say it almost weekly. It's the thing we look forward to the most. It's the most fun thing that we do on streams. But anyway, Charlie, what do you say we get into it?
Yeah, man.
Before we get started, we'll go ahead and tell you guys the format. We've got some categories we came up with, various categories to talk about stuff that happened this year, and we're going to whittle that list down to 3 candidates, and then we're going to pick a winner. And then after we do those categories, we're going to get into the game of the year. We're going to talk about our personal list, and then instead of picking a specific game of the year as a group, we're going to do a Mount Rushmore. We're going to pick 4 games to put on our list. So without further ado, Charlie, let's get going. We're going to get the negative stuff out of the way first. We're going to talk about the biggest news story of 2020. Charlie, why don't you go ahead and read off the list of nominees that we've got? So we've got on this list this year.
You got it, man. We got 7 main nominees. The first is Cyberpunk 2077's very rocky year in release and removal that occurred, at the very beginning of this month, December. Halo Infinite delayed a full year and missing the Xbox Series launch. Microsoft buys Bethesda. The ever-present DMCA issue. Oh God, yes. We have the pandemic takes a toll on gaming and movie development. Pretty much showcasing, that we had some show cancellations, there were delays in the and studio shutdowns and layoffs, and due to that, we had console and PC hardware demand skyrocketing. Stuff like Switch, stuff like their accessories or whatever were just flying off the shelves. Even old consoles that you would find at like movie trading company were just becoming very, very sparse, which is, strange. Um, we have the next gen pre-order debacle. That's been fun. Take it from me. And finally, Microsoft takes Game Pass to the next level with Sony finally attempting to catch on to that service with very good results.
That's quite a list of stories. Most of them not good stories.
Yeah,
Charlie, is there anything else you can think of that could possibly make this list? I put together a decent part of it. You did add some of that, but I don't think I think that kind of covers the biggest stuff.
yeah. I mean, there may have been items that have occurred pre-pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that anything post-pandemic overshadows any of that stuff, regardless if it is, even if it's video game related or not.
Right.
Heck, I can't remember anything prior to the Ides of March. So,
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
like Doom Eternal was this year, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
What? Resident Evil 3 was, I don't know,
Animal Crossing feels like it came out 3 years ago, and it came out in March, basically the same time as Doom Eternal.
yeah.
All right. Well. Then, with that said, we've got to whittle this list down to three. There's a lot of really good ones. Is there anything on there to you that stands out as maybe kind of an easy cut? Um, the the only one that truly stands out to me, and the only reason I say this is because while it sucks, it's kind of easy to get around, is the DMCA stuff. And the reason why I say that is, yeah, that affects me a lot because that hurts my opportunities to play stuff like Rocksmith and do marbles with music. But in reality, most people aren't going to have an issue with that because they're not playing music that's licensed.
Correct.
That for you specifically, you don't do really anything that has any of that licensed stuff. And it's not that it's not a big deal. It's just when you compare it to some of these other things, I don't think it's going to hang.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
And it is, I mean, it's ever present, but there are, I was about to say reach arounds. There are ways to go around that in order to subvert any sanctions that you might incur. That, yeah, I can definitely see that going.
I mean, you're also seeing some companies like CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk putting in an option to turn off that licensed music. So there are developers that are trying to help that cause and help streamers out. So I think in some ways, it's maybe not as bad as it seems.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, let's hear the suggestion. Yes, Charlie, the floor is yours.
So this year has definitely been a year of years in regards to reaction to the pandemic, stuff that's very, very macro. Um, in normal years, I would say items such as the Halo Infinite delay and as bad as it is, and it continues to be, the Cyberpunk 2077, as bad as they both are, I believe from a micro aspect, they really, really sit in the shadow of something that is a lot larger. I think those two, as ridiculous as they like are purported to be, and they are,
Mhm.
I just don't think they stand up to the really, really larger movements in the industry.
So can I offer a rebuttal to that?
Okay.
I think both of
Yeah,
those.
that's what we're here. That's what we're here to talk.
I think both of those belong on the list, and I think one of those two wins. And here's why. I think the ramifications in the future because of those two stories are huge. Starting with the Halo Infinite delay, you're talking about the only game that was supposed to release for a brand new console, not only not making the release, but potentially will not be out for at least a year on a console that really has not. It has Tetris, and we talk about Game Pass and how great it is, but you can't sell a system with Game Pass. They're trying to, but you can't. And I think your only tentpole game missing its launch and missing its first year has so many ramifications for Microsoft in the future. I think it's very hard to. I mean, we can definitely debate later on, but I think to take it off this early, I don't think that's possible yet. And then as far as Cyberpunk, I think this kind of goes to the issue of what is a game release these days. What should game releases be these days? How early access works. This is obviously a game that was not ready to be released on any system. It's close on PC. But it was not ready to go on the two systems that they promoted. That they promoted from the very beginning in 2012 when they first announced the game. It is the power struggle between the developers and the investors. We're seeing that with some of the news where some of the developers, the workers on the game are asking investors like, seriously, why did this game have to come out? And now because it came out, now we're looking bad. And the investors, they've sold 13 million copies of the game, and that's with the cancellations and the refunds. And the game is broken on two of the four because it's out on Stadia, which, by the way, still exists. So, yeah,
Breaking news.
yeah, right?
There's there's
there it is. There it is. That's the news of the year. Stadia still exists. Let's move on to the next topic. So, yeah, I am definitely willing to have the argument towards the end if what should win or even if this should be on the list. But I think, to me, those are the two biggest, I guess, like as you put it, micro news stories of the year, because like Microsoft buys Bethesda. That's big.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say micro, and like I'm taking it from the standpoint of like economics, it's one game. Cyberpunk 2077 is one game. Halo Infinite is one game. When you're talking about like whole like industries or brand new consoles that play multiple games, industries that are purchasing other, or not, companies that are purchasing other companies, I can see probably one of those sneaking in because there does have to be some type of representation on that level. So I can definitely see from that angle. Those are definitely, two things that definitely have moved the needle in regards to the individual this year. I can't hear you.
No. Okay. All right. So let's do this. Let's talk about an actual cut that might be easier.
Okay.
I think next gen pre-order debacle can be taken off, and the only reason I say that is because every time a new console comes out, it's always a debacle. It's always a debacle. And I know that you have a personal reason to put this on the list, but
Nice to have a Series S and say this.
this shit happens. This shit's been happening since PlayStation 2. I had issues getting a PlayStation 2 back in the day. I don't think this is it's shitty every time.
Maybe I'm looking at that from just the angle that it is less the supply line, but more that they're being soaked up by scalpers and bots, and the distributors and developers are not putting items in place. Like they just care about moving the units rather than catering to the video gamer in general. And I can see, okay, I can acquiesce to that fact that, like you said, this happens every time there is a new wave of consoles coming out. Maybe it is the first time because, yes, I am in the weeds in regards to trying to acquire one of these new breeds of consoles that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can contend. I can give you that like you said, this is something that's seen every time. It's just something even more different this time, and even though it hits more close to the heart regarding my situation,
Mm-hmm.
I get that, like, this is something, like you said, like this isn't an anomaly.
Well, and I think where it feels slightly different is that because the
Well, and it feels slightly different again. Like, I don't normally buy the first generation of consoles. I will wait. This is the first time that marketing and, with the pandemic and everything, and like sitting at home and just like all of these new waves of games are coming in. Yes, this is the first time that I am like swayed to like go out there. You know me, I have a Pro for a reason. I didn't like, choose the Pro over like the PS4. I actually like didn't want to even get the PS4 first because I'm the type to like, okay, wait for the new generation to come out, see all the bugs, and then with that, premium edition that comes out, that's when like I know that they've kind of looked everything, they've sifted through all the cracks, and everything is pretty good going in there. Um, but yeah, like you said, like regarding the next gen pre-order debacle, I can see that going. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say while this is a little bit different, where the majority of the sales happened online. And because they happened online, there was more chances for bots to buy consoles for scalper reasons. But scalping consoles is not a new thing. And I think if we're taking it from just kind of the overriding
The minutia.
the overriding kind of look at that specific news story, it's no different. Yeah, again, like I am incredibly sympathetic to, or empathetic, whichever one means that I feel your pain on you having your issues getting your console. Like, I hate it. And I think also it just comes to when you look at some of these others, I think maybe that's one we go ahead and get out of here.
Okay.
All right. All right, we got 5 more in 3 spots. Can we agree Pandemic is going to be on the list?
Yes. Immediately with a bullet without cutting to the front of the line. I'm like, if that's not on the list,
what are we even doing? I'm going to, where's my paint bucket?
It's the little marker next to the A with the big underline. It's pink.
Highlight color. Okay, I'm gonna mark this one green.
Okay.
We haven't really talked about Game Pass.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like, so Game Pass has been around. PS Plus has been around. The PlayStation Now, they've done their thing, and I think with every new kind of movement into the next generation, there is going to be some type of technological and systemic leap, which allows more room for the novice video game player to come in, you know, enjoy the waters a little bit and, you know, lavish themselves and like, oh, I do like video games. Let me try this out without having to like really, really spend too much money out of their pocketbooks,
Mm-hmm.
especially this year with like everyone having to cut back costs and having to find something to do due to the fact that they're, you know, more than likely not working. They can enjoy like, you know, this lovely little library of games right in front of them that they've either missed out on or that they've never even thought of enjoying. And but that being said, when you're posing that, like, I feel bad because it's actually a feel good story. It's a
Mm-hmm.
feel good news point, but in a year that was so like riddled with so much bad stuff that, again, you know, casts such a huge shadow on the landscape of gaming. The fact that they've made this subsect of their video game um, business better,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's not revolutionary. When Game Pass first came out, that's when it was revolutionary. You're like, oh my god, like I cannot believe I
Yeah.
have all this stuff at the ready. When it comes to this year in 2020, it had already existed. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they've elaborated on it, it's a great thing.
Yeah.
And I really, really wish this was one of the top stories of the year because that would
Yeah.
mean that this year wasn't that shitty.
Yeah.
But that being said, you know, like I could see this kind of a step aside.
So I 100% agree with you, and I will tell you the main reason why I think it should be cut in agreement with you. If Halo Infinite does not get delayed and it comes out, then
Yeah,
the Game Pass
we'll get there.
story is an even less effective story.
Sure.
Because you're talking about its big tentpole game. Game Pass doesn't matter to Microsoft as much. It does. So that's why it's actually a bigger story than it probably should be. And then of course Sony finally really getting it together with theirs. I really appreciate what Sony is doing with their PS4 collection, and I hope they continue to do that in the future because Game Pass and whatever Sony's is called, PlayStation Now collection, it's the way video games will be played in the future. It already is the future. And I think that it's an incredible service, and I hope Sony continues to elaborate on it as well.
Yeah.
So we're down to
Down to four.
we're down to 4. We're down to 3 left with 2 to go. So I've already made my pitch for Cyberpunk and Halo Infinite to be on the list. We haven't really talked too much about the Microsoft buying Bethesda. I'm curious. I'm curious if you think it needs to be on the list over those other two and why.
It's so much bigger because it's like this could be the first domino that causes companies have been acquiring other companies for a long time, but this is now these are super companies now acquiring the bigger companies, and instead of allocating their resources to inventing their own like new IPs or augmenting their existing IPs, like, hey, Microsoft, instead of buying Bethesda, you should kind of worked on that Halo Infinite thing there a little more. But I get what they're doing. Like it's definitely it's a future buy in the stock terms.
Mm-hmm.
That they're getting it for not just the current library, but it's for also any plans that were on the table moving forward. And that's something that apparently Microsoft isn't, working upon too hard. And again, it's more than just one game. It's
Yeah.
it's a whole bunch of titles. It's a whole bunch of series. And like if obviously they're going to make money on this on this sale and or on this purchase. And so who's to say that like, oh gosh, like, you know, Sony, while they are right now at, you know, the apex of creating their own exclusive titles, and doing a really, really great job at it, you know, what's that saying? Like victory is fleeting or whatever. That, you know, the wins aren't going to always come this easily for them, and that, you know, they may have to start looking toward different avenues in regards to like, oh gosh, our creative department isn't coming out or shelling out the new creative ideas like it once was. Hey, what is that IOI over there? Or is like IOI? That's from Ready Player One. Is that I don't
IO
know.
IO
Think
Interactive,
Yeah,
the Hitman series.
think of a middle tier to a higher tier company that's
Yeah,
shelling out stuff.
yeah.
Let me just acquire that, you know. And I just, you know, like again, this could be like the initial domino that leads to further companies acquiring companies rather than, you know, creating their own pieces
Yeah.
of art. That's just me.
Do you like this? Do you like this idea of buying up companies? It doesn't matter who it is.
No,
Microsoft, EA.
not really.
Yeah, I agree too, because I think it goes back to
You
the.
remember when EA bought out BioWare?
Oh well, yeah. Well, I know what it's like now for
Do
sure.
you remember what they did?
Yeah, I don't like exclusives. I think this Bethesda thing. As a person that likes Microsoft and hopes that they succeed, I think it's good. But as a person that likes games to be played everywhere, I don't like this. I don't like the idea that Elder Scrolls 6 could be an Xbox exclusive. I think that's shitty. I think that sucks. Um, all right, what do you think about this? We cut Halo Infinite. We keep Cyberpunk. We keep Microsoft buys Bethesda.
And keep pandemic, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's in green. It's there. Yeah. So,
I like that with one little caveat, as you were saying earlier.
mhm.
How much are we weighing the fact that Halo Infinite is the tent pole title of Microsoft, and it does that versus a third party game like Cyberpunk?
So I'm just gonna go ahead and play
I'm just
spoiler
putting
here.
dialogue out there, to be
Right,
honest.
right. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil something. You and I are gonna argue for the winner here in a little bit.
Oh,
We're going to have an argument. Um. So, okay, let me put this to you. This is our wards, right? Mine and
sure.
yours. I don't care about Halo Infinite.
Okay.
I care from the idea of the health of Microsoft,
Okay.
but it not coming out. I'm never going to play it. So I think from that standpoint, if we're just kind of taking it as our personal opinion, I think I'm way more interested in Bethesda being purchased. I'll just say that.
Okay. No,
Um,
I mean that's totally fine. I've played one Halo game in my life,
which one?
Halo 3.
Okay, you played the good one then.
Yeah, and
The best one.
but I know what it means to be the figurehead of basic, or the, you know, your Halo Master Chief is the face of Microsoft and Xbox.
Sure.
That's true.
Now we can argue.
But
We can argue if he should be,
sure, and
but you're right.
agree there. But I don't have a real dog in this fight. Whether you think Cyberpunk or the Cyberpunk story or the Halo Infinite story. But I agree with you that yeah, micro buying Bethesda is big. Like
Yeah.
I'm thinking regarding when we approach biggest news stories of 2020, I'm thinking of like market industry shaking news.
Sure.
And while there are items that I'm like, well, I think it's a little bigger than just one video game, the fact that you have moved me to like think about the cyberpunk issues on a much larger scale going toward the future,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that it had been delayed several times throughout this year, everyone, and I mean everyone, was looking forward to that sucker.
Yeah.
And, you know, distributors don't go out of their way to say, "Hey, we'll even take your money back," because they don't do that, man. The fact that Best Buy and Walmart's like, "Yeah, we'll give you a refund for it," they usually don't do that.
Mm.
Like the actual company that releases it, will be like, "Okay, we get it. We know this game sucks right now for you guys. There's so many bugs. We'll give you the money back."
Yeah.
They will. You know what I mean?
Right.
But not the distributors. They're the one like,
Yeah.
"No, sorry, you gave this to us to distribute. We're
Yeah.
keeping our." The fact that it moved them to even like to make that move showed what type of clusterfuck this was. So, but
Yeah, and you're kind of making my argument why I think Cyberpunk wins this category, because
okay,
it's unprecedented what we're seeing with yes, it's a third party, but this is the most hyped game of the year, and it's kind of not close. In a year where we have new consoles, this game is the most hyped game, and it's not even available on those consoles. You're right that, yeah, the developers from time to time will be like, "Oh, this sucks. So if you bought it directly from us, yeah, we'll give you a refund." Um, but when an entire platform does the unprecedented thing of not only accepting refunds no matter how much you've played the game, but just straight up removing it from their, which they don't do that.
yeah, the removal.
They don't do that, especially for AAA games. We talked about a little bit last week the Batman PC saga. But that was kind of that was on such a smaller level because the PC version was not the preferred version of that game. Kind of not even close. I mean, it's all about the consoles, and in this case, it was too. And you're talking about the two consoles that are the preferred consoles of this game since 2012. Since 2012, and look, I know some people are playing it on PS4 and Xbox. Our friend of the show, Josh, is playing it on PS4, and he's having a good time with it. But I watch his streams, and to me, and I look at games more technically. Just because I know the industry much more. This is not a shot at Josh. It's not at all. But that game to me looks unplayable, what he's playing. The gunfights look unplayable to me. And some people can fight through that, and that's fine. I'm not saying that anybody's wrong for that, but it's broken. It looks broken still. And when you talk about the implications of the industry, we have seen this way too much lately. We saw it with games that aren't finished. Fallout 76, Mass Effect Andromeda. They killed Mass Effect, sort of. These games are being released way too early because of investors, and they're coming out in broken states. And there's a blurred line these days between early access and what they consider gold. And the industry needs to take a look at unblurring, if that's a word, unblurring those lines and figuring this out. I was about to get into why why the pandemic shouldn't win, but I assume you think the pandemic should win.
The pandemic to me is basically the umbrella that covers everything. Do the problems that laid at the feet of Cyberpunk and its production even occur if business practices, labor, supply lines do all their issues occur if this pandemic does not even exist? Um, you can say yes, but and it's hard to even say that in a vacuum because this is something we've never experienced before.
Sure.
Like you said, in regards to like other things, like yes, with next gen pre-orders, yes, there have been issues in regards to other pre-orders in prior years. Um, it moves so much in regards to like everything. It's affected like everyone has been touched by this thing.
Sure.
And the fact also the pandemic has been around. Pandemic is 2020, period.
Right.
Cyberpunk's issues have literally occurred over the last couple weeks.
I disagree with what you're saying, but I know what you're saying.
And then also, I get that unfortunately the consoles are experiencing the brunt of the issues. But yes, we do have people who are playing it regardless of what they want to see. And I know that you like with any video game, this thing was supposed to be like the pinnacle of video games when it came out. We've seen so much on it, and when it came out, we were like, "Oh my god, this is the gateway into the future." Like, we don't want to look backward. This is going to make us want to look forward. And that definitely is a testament to why that should be the biggest news story of 2020. But again, it is the biggest news story of 2020. This stuff didn't come up until a couple weeks ago. Every day since fucking March, all I've thought about is catching COVID. That's all I've thought about.
Sure.
And it's affected millions of people, millions of jobs, millions of lives. Do people even without this, people, were living their everyday lives, like there was a huge surge in the video game industry, all because of this, because people were trapped in their homes. They didn't want to go outside. They were so scared that they were going to catch this random virus that was floating in the air. So they stayed at home. They were bored. They were done with Netflix. What do? They turn on their console and play video games. And they're like, oh my God, I forgot how much fucking fun this was.
Right. When you turn on Tiger King and turn it off after half an episode because it's garbage, you play video games. That's
that to me. That to me, like, Cyberpunk is like a super intense, ridiculous spike in the news story. Like it hits at 11. The pandemic, and like I have been fortunately extremely lucky that the circles of influence that I've been involved with, very few people have either gotten sick and very few people have passed away. I've experienced some loss in that. Regarding video game industry, I'm looking at shows canceling. Like, I mean, there's I want to say billions, but I'm scared to say trillions also of dollars that have been lost this year.
Sure.
Whereas, Cyberpunk made their money. And like, granted, they're giving a lot of it back, which sucks.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer. I'm willing to listen to what you have to say. What would you say if someone said to you, you guys are a video game podcast who cares about movie development?
What?
We are a video game podcast, right?
Yeah.
So who cares about show cancellations and movie cancellations? What do you say to
Oh
that?
no, I'm talking about like the E3s.
No, no,
I'm
no.
talking about stuff like
Oh,
that,
well, okay,
where
okay.
yeah, no, I'm talking about that stuff where like all these
Oh,
developers have busted their ass and like
oh,
put, they literally worked all, and from last year into this year, and all of a sudden all the monies that they would get from like, sponsorship advertisers be like, hey, we want to be connected to your game, like those people. I'm
yes.
sorry, I didn't mean like shows, like movies and
I'm
stuff
glad I.
like
I'm
that. Yeah,
glad I
I know
asked.
what you.
So, you make a great point.
Yeah,
I think E3's dead now.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
never. It was already about to die,
sure.
but this is reason enough. I don't think we ever see E3 again.
And not just taking on the negatives, like, I mean, pandemic has been completely negative, but that entity has moved social thought, business thought into a way where going forward into 2020 is going to be 2020 into 2021 is going to be completely different.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been a long time
in
coming,
in
but
good
brick
way.
and
In
mortar
yeah, in
stores
good
were like
ways.
this close to going.
Yes.
I really can see next year. Like I feel so horrible for like a lot of the people who work at like Targets and the WalMarts and stuff like that. But this is the way they are going.
They'll be
Where
fine.
I know that's what I was gonna say. Like they can get the jobs with the distributing companies, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera, and so it'll still work. But we've learned and we've reacted to us not still being able to consume items from the home.
Right.
And so going forward, this has changed the business practice of it. You're talking about E3s and all those game production shows. They do everything online, and they would still get like the same, viewer value or whatever.
It still works, and in fact, in a lot of cases, it's
Yeah,
better.
it could work even better now
You
that
get
they
in,
don't
you
have to
get
put on a
out.
live
Yeah.
show. Yeah,
So let me give you the reason why this should win. Without the, this is going to sound shitty, but it's not. Without the pandemic, we don't do this podcast.
well, there you go.
We probably don't stream. We probably don't start streaming.
Yeah.
I know it's a little shitty to look at it that way, but it's true. We've been talking about doing this podcast for 10 years.
Yeah.
And in the prior 9 years, we haven't done it. Well, we finally got off our ass and did it. And I think you bringing up the show, because see, when I thought it was about television and movies,
No, yeah,
I was
my
like,
fault.
do we? I don't know if we need, but yeah, I think the implications for E3, and the more I think about it, every other year, probably in the history of gaming, Cyberpunk wins this category, and it's not close.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Which I feel bad for Microsoft buys Bethesda because that seems like such a distant third place at this point. They're all tied for third in our hearts. So yeah, I think you've laid down enough to where I can be totally cool with that. So, do we want to make this official?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to mark these, Charlie,
2020.
in blue.
All right.
So our first category is in the books. The biggest news story of 2020, pandemic takes toll on gaming, is our winner.
I mean, and I totally see what you're saying about Cyberpunk. It sucks. Like,
yeah,
with
and it's not the last time we'll talk about
the shakiness and all like stuff that occurs with this video game is unprecedented. And unfortunately, like, honestly, I don't think like either one, when you think about it, you wouldn't want to win this category unless it's like a good story.
Sure.
Like
Microsoft buying Bethesda is not the worst story.
Freaking Half-Life 3 comes out this year. Like, holy shit. Yeah, no.
Hey, there's still an hour left in this pod. There's still an hour plus left in this podcast. It could still happen.
Well, you know the propensity for our news. It might come out tomorrow.
That's right. So anyway,
right.
So yeah, so the pandemic taking toll on gaming industry is our winner. Cyberpunk's Rocky Year and Microsoft buying Bethesda are the two runner-ups. First one out of the way. Let's move to the next one. A little bit more positive.
Yeah.
The most surprising game that we played this year, and that could be a positive or negative. We kind of combined most surprising and disappointing. into one, basically saying, "Oh, it surprised us this game was great," or "Surprised us that this game was not as good as we wanted it to be." We just thought it might be because we to be honest, we couldn't. We wanted to have separate categories. We couldn't find enough for either, really, so we just did that. Um, for this one, I'll go through the list here. Among Us. These are in the positive category. Among Us, Fall Guys, Call of Duty Warzone, The Tourist with a Y, and then the negatives: Animal Crossing, Super Mario 35, and Super Mario 3D All Stars.
I want to add Succubus because thanks to Smithy,
Oh no,
he showed me that game, and I'm just gonna add it and take it right back off.
Okay, yeah,
But
yeah.
I didn't think a game like that could exist.
He told me about it, and him just telling me is enough. Thank you, Smithy, for bringing that to our
I had to
lives.
flush my my browsing history because of that. Oh my god, that game.
Now,
Um,
most of these games, Charlie, on this list are games that I put on there. Is there anything else that you played, especially on the positive end, that you would consider kind of surprising?
I would, but so we set guidelines with this, correct?
Yes, we did.
And this was basically based upon things that we have experienced or played prior to the first week of through the first week of December.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, if I had only played Hades a little sooner.
Sure.
Like, and Smithy in the chat, I have not touched Doom Eternal. Like, it is definitely a. We have a category for those games coming up in a second, but yeah, like Hades is. Oh man, it's a thing. It's a new drug that I really enjoy.
That'll be check in with us in a year from now for the 2021 Game of the Year deliberations for more on Hades or next regular podcast. Can you think of anything else maybe that could be on there for you? Because like I said again, all of these are mine, kind of.
I mean, I agreed with you on like on pretty much all of them, even though I didn't play some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Among Us is something we definitely both shared the experiences along with Fall Guys, Warzone. Even though I am completely terrible at that game and I played not much of it at all, I completely understand its resounding success this year in
Mm-hmm.
comparison to um, how well not in comparison to but really in relation to how one powerful entity, Call of Duty, and one powerful movement, the battle royale, have come together in this mishmash and are just completely taking over things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess since we're discussing Call of Duty,
Yeah, I'm sorry, like that
no,
was just
no,
the one that I
no.
saw
I mean,
initially.
since we're on it, I guess I put it. I was
I
the
don't
one that
have
put
anything
it.
to add though. Yeah.
Uh, I don't like Call of Duty. I've never liked Call of Duty. Like those original World War II ones are fine. I was a Medal of Honor guy, but especially when it went kind of more modern, I just never got into it. I didn't like the feel of it. I didn't. I just never liked it. Blackout, which was their first version of Battle Royale, which came out with Black Ops, whatever it was, 3 years ago. I tried it, hated it. So I downloaded Warzone because it was free. And I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'll
It's
try anything.
free.
I'll try anything once. And I don't know why, but man, I fell in love with it. I think it's great. I think the shooting is really damn good in it. And I know it's Call of Duty shooting, obviously. But I just love all of I love the entire package. Like I really enjoyed playing the plunder mode where instead of just killing people, you're getting cash and you have to try to be the team with the most cash. I think that's a cool variation of Battle Royale. I when it comes to Battle Royale, it is as straightforward a Battle Royale game as it can be. It just is. Um, it's just it's not doing anything to help or hurt the battle royale genre. Unlike something like Apex Legends, which I feel has done a lot to move that genre forward. But
Fortnite.
Fortnite, well, yeah, and Fortnite is just the unstoppable force. Say what you want about Fortnite and the way it plays, or if you like it or you don't like it, you have to respect what they're doing in terms of keeping that game relevant. It's it's really incredible. I don't know that it hangs on this list just because I'm willing to fight for some of these other games a lot harder. I don't know if we should necessarily cut it at this second. If you want to talk about games that we can cut,
We'll just put a star.
yeah, put a nice star. Oh, look at that! It's so nice. Kind of looks like a butthole. A cat butthole. In terms of games, I think we can absolutely take off the list. I think we could take Super Mario 3D All Stars because I was disappointed with it because it's just those games. And they did absolutely nothing to them, even less than I thought they would. But also, that compilation is what it said it was supposed to be. It's just very obvious that 2 of those 3 games do not hold up in the least. Mario 64 and Sunshine. So I think by the definition of surprising or disappointing, I don't think that Super Mario 3D All-Stars is part of that definition. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that if you're okay with that.
What is Tourist?
So The Tourist is a game that was on Game Pass. I was one day just farting around, as you will, on Game Pass, just looking for something, and saw this game called The Tourist, and it had a neat little colorful picture, and so I watched the trailer, thought it looked neat, downloaded it. So what it is a small indie title. It kind of has the look of, did you ever play, what's that Frogger ripoff that came out not that long ago with the chicken? Crossy Road.
Crossy Road.
It kind of looks like that in terms of like the character design and things like that. And so what it is that you're a dude that goes on vacation to an island, and when you get to the island, there's an old man who tells you that there's a secret on the island. And then it kind of opens up to kind of a puzzly Minecrafty kind of, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's really fun. It's really quirky. It's funny. It's really lighthearted. It was kind of one of those games, we go back to talking about kind of the pandemic where you're kind of just like, kind of had that, that feeling. You know that feeling, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I don't know what to play. I'm getting my ass kicked in Rocket League. Warzone, I suck at it. Whatever. And then you sometimes just find a little game. Will Smithy, it's a good thing that these are our awards and not, hey, this game looks like shit awards. I'm just kidding, Smithy. I know you're here to throw me off. That's all you do. I think it's a cool little game. I don't think it hangs on this list. Just because, again, it just, when you're looking at the other games on this list, but I think it's a neat little thing, and I think it's worth looking. It's also on PC Game Pass, Charlie. It's a neat little thing. I plan on finishing it in the coming days and weeks. So I'm going to go and mark it off, but it's really cool. It's a neat little thing. That's what Game Pass is for, is to kind of discover little things like this.
Let's talk about Among Us for a
Yes.
moment, man. Because
So can we go ahead and just spoil it and say that's going to be on the list?
yeah,
Okay.
like
Go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to mark it
this
green, but go
thing
ahead.
again. So with the pandemic, everybody's trapped at home and everyone's looking for things to do, and like obviously with October and like everything like that, everyone was looking for horror games and stuff like that. And gosh, there's this little game that's it's been around for like 2 years, and it was just kind of there, and now it seems like it has literally like rocket launched into the stratosphere, along with another game on our list. When it comes to God, like this game is a game like no other one, because um it's less about the game and more about I hate to take away from the game, but it's less about the game and it's more about your your strategies to basically get out of a no-win situation a lot of the times. Um if you haven't played Among Us, you should. Um Basically, there's a whole bunch of little people that are trapped on a ship, and one person is dubbed the imposter, but no one knows who it is. And the other people, while they are having to perform tasks throughout the ship, the imposter is just kind of going around, looks like everybody else, and goes around and just starts killing people to prevent the ship from making its destination. I've had the funnest time playing that game, especially with you guys. Again, like I played this game a lot with randos, just because initially at first I had it on my phone, and when I played it on my phone, it was interesting. Like you would deliberate with each other, if you weren't knowledgeable about their discords or whatever, via like a written chat, and it was fun, but it would kind of like hit that ceiling because there's no really camaraderie, there's no context, there's no like past history that you have with like your friends, there's no commonality there because you're just in a room full of random people. um and sometimes you can literally just like by sheer force of will, like through mob mentality, get someone kicked off for no real reason, just like that person. But like there's so many memes out there that have come from this thing.
Oh, it's the most
Like it is,
memed game of the year,
yeah,
100%.
it has affected so many social constructs out there on social media platforms. Um, but that being said, like I said, I hit my ceiling playing with like, a group of people. And then it just like went up to a whole nother level when we had that game night together with all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And just the funny moments of, yeah, you caught me red-handed, but I am gonna try to talk my way out of this shit, and somehow, through some way, through force of persuasion, through the fact that we were just completely exhausted at night, through sheer panic of just trying to make change someone's mind on the Discord. We would have so much fun. We would laugh so much just trying to get away, with killing
Right.
everybody else. And like, the look of the game is extremely simple,
Yeah.
but it does so well with what it has.
Well, look, if we're being honest, if you just take the game in a vacuum, it's a boring game.
Yeah.
You click on something, you run around, you click on something, oh, you kill someone. You're right in that it takes the right group of people
Yeah.
to take that game to not even just the next level, but put it in the next stratosphere. And it's like it's very much akin to like a Jackbox, where if you're playing with random people you don't know, Jackbox is not anywhere near as fun than when you have a group of people, our group, that
Yeah.
you can go no holds barred. It doesn't matter. You're not going to get in trouble because you drew a penis or
Sure.
12. You know, I you know, we don't review games and talk about their merits just on, oh, is the game fun to play? Because if it was, this game wouldn't be anywhere near anybody's list.
Yeah.
But the group the group mentality and the
The
fun that we
group think,
have,
man.
the group think. Welcome to my TED talk on Among Us. It's easily the most fun group experience that I've had this year. And again, we keep saying it and we're going to go back to it. Without the pandemic, we don't play Among Us together. We don't play these community things together.
Nope.
And so, of all the stuff that we've played, I love playing marbles with you guys. I think it's fun, it's stupid, it's chill. I love playing Jackbox with you guys. That's a lot of fun. I haven't had more. I didn't have more fun with those than I did with Among Us.
Surprise Marbles isn't on here.
I mean, marbles is what it is. Like in terms of surprising, I guess it could be if we were talking about surprising experience, you know, streaming. But in terms of like actual game, like I mean, I don't even know. I don't even think
I will say this regarding Among Us, just to add, it's surprising to me because of how magnetic it is, and honestly, before you even jump into what it is, it's very anonymous. Because I heard about this thing, I was like, "What is that?" And I checked it out. I haven't looked at it. I'm like, okay, what is the big deal about, like, because you hear such, this huge hype behind, like, a video game, and you're like, oh god, I'm expecting all these graphics and all this amazing gameplay, and you look at it and you're like, really, this is what's the big deal about this? And then all of a sudden you play it, like, with just random people, and you're like, okay, this is fun, but I don't get what was driving this huge wave of people wanting to play it. And then you play with each other. Like, heck, remember our friend Sean, he liked the games, like, so he bought the game for $5. And at first he's like, did I just waste my money on $5? Because we were having technical issues that night. Now he's to the point, do I make another purchase of it on a different platform so I can play it on my big screen? It's moved him that much. And that's the other thing. It's cheap. It's $5 if you want to pay for it. Obviously the residuals if you want to get the little pets and stuff like that, where, most games of this ilk tend to, like, make a little extra, change on the side.
Give all the money to them.
You cannot spend a dime on this game and still have fun. It's free on the iOS platform. And that's what I mean, like, it's all those little bullet points right there that make this game very, very surprising to me in 2020.
Well, and we talk about there are games that you download for free and you play. And we talk about those games where you're like, I'm enjoying this game so much, I want to figure out a way to throw some money at them. And so buying these computer and console versions are the way to do that. And like I am all for saying, hey, you know what, you guys made a really cool thing here. Here's a few bucks. Yeah, it's true. It's a really cool experience, and it absolutely 100% does take a good group. And we are lucky to have that for sure. And that's definitely a game we're going to continue to play into 2021. Let me talk about one we can cut. I think we can cut Animal Crossing. And the reason why I put Animal Crossing on this list is not because I think it ended up being not as good as
it's a surprise.
Oh boy. I really liked what I played when I played it, but there was something about the game that didn't give me enough, and I fell off incredibly hard. I love Animal Crossing. I've loved Animal Crossing since back when it first released on the GameCube. I've always thought it was such a neat little adorable thing with some really cool ideas. And, as they've put out new versions of that game, they've kind of elaborated. Um, you know, uh, can somebody please ban Smithy in the chat?
Was the age range too?
Uh, uh, I guarantee you the majority of adults play that game. Anyway, but
Just
something,
succubus to that game. So
but yeah.
there's a succubus level in this Animal
there's
Crossing.
there's there's no killing pregnant women in it, so I guess it's not cool enough for Smithy.
Jesus
Uh,
God.
love you, Smithy. So I fell off of it, and I don't think it's anything wrong with the game or anything that's truly disappointing. It just surprised me how hard I fell off that game. Like one day I was playing that game multiple times a day, and then the next day I stopped opening it up and I stopped playing it forever and still have not gone back. And I've missed a bunch of the events. It's really a bummer because look, let's be real. Animal Crossing is the pandemic game of the year. I don't think there's any argument. That's the, I mean, it came out at exactly the right time that, people, there's a reason why there was a Switch shortage was because of people wanting to play Animal Crossing. So,
Yeah.
um, you know what? I'm disappointed in myself for not continuing to play that game, but I'm going to take it off the list.
Okay. I've never played an Animal Crossing game.
They're
That might
neat.
be a surprising thing, but I've
I
heard that
I
they're
bet your wife would love Animal Crossing.
sure. We'll delve into that. Super Mario 35 is on this list.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you right now, this
With
podcast will
a
go 8 hours if you think that's coming off.
Ooh, okay.
That's going to be our negative one to make the list. We can argue if it wins. I don't think it wins, but it has to
Okay.
be to
I
me.
mean, surprises, they can be positive and they can be negative. That's
Yes.
fine. Um, I liked Mario 35.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it for its maybe I liked it for the reasons you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that if I needed a game, just like, I'm winding down um, at the end of my day, I need something very, very simple that I can just jump in and jump out. I don't even have to worry, don't have to think too much. Turn on a little Mario 35, play a couple levels, and then leave. I mean, I can see why when we discuss this game, I can see as to why repetition is definitely a negative aspect of that game because wow, I've played a lot of 1-1 this year, but
Yeah.
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand why. I'm not going to fight you on this one. Like like if you are completely sour on this game, like the other three games that are on here, I can see room for, I can see why like they could possibly be on here.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we've got Among Us and Mario 35 before I, step on your platform. We're pretty much going to have a fight between Warzone and Fall Guys. So
And before I get into Mario 35, I think Call of Duty Warzone can come off the list, and
okay,
there's two reasons. One of them being I really like that game, and I'm very surprised that I like that game. But also, it is a very typical battle royale game. I go through kind of fits and starts with that game, going off and on. It's not a game that would be even in my top 5 of games that I'm like, what do I want to play today? It's probably not on that list. And the other reason is, obviously we want to argue for what we feel is the best ones for this list, but it is a group list, and I think Fall Guys fits that mold of things that surprised both of us.
yeah.
And so I think that one should make the list, and we can talk about that here in a minute. But so I unless you have an objection, I'm gonna take Call of Duty Warzone off the list.
So
Unless you really have a good argument why it should be on there over Mario 35.
well, before we cut that, I'd like to say a couple things about Fall Guys first.
Sure.
Just as to it seems like we're already cementing that on the list,
Okay. Yeah. Talk about Fall Guys with me.
and
Let's go.
I know that Mario 35 is straight, not right through the heart, but just a little to the left.
Yeah. I'll get to Mario
But
35 in a minute, but tell me about Fall Guys.
Fall Guys, I swear that the definition of coming out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You look at that up in the dictionary, and that little bean is just sitting there looking at you. And God, I remember when we started this whole podcast thing. Thank you, dog. He's scratching at my door. When we started this whole podcast thing, God, we were just like, oh my God, this Fall Guys thing, like, where can this thing go? Like, our game of the year already. Like, we can just shut the book on it. We don't need anything else. And we played through a lot. Like, we played through it. Have you played season 2?
So I was going to get to that after
Okay.
you were done with your thing, but I guess I'll go ahead and do this here. And this is not anything against the game. I fell off of that game for two reasons. One, I got to the point in season 1 where I was like, I've seen everything. I'm kind of getting bored of some of these games that half of them don't work, especially the team ones. That is, again, this is not to say that season 2 and now season 3 didn't improve on some of that stuff in the new games. It makes one hell of a first impression. It's so adorable. It is clean. The music is very jaunty and just silly. Everything about it is silly, and when it worked, it played really well. Like, it was really silly. And it's a game that I want to get back into. I can't play it on PS4 anymore. I don't have a PS4, but there's going to be a day where on Steam it's going to be like, hey, it's $10, and I'm going to probably get back into it on PC. Or if they ever put out an Xbox version. I guess there's a Switch version coming too. But whatever the case is. You want to talk about a game that if we had a category for best first impression, it's winning it hands down. It's so cool. It's such a neat little thing.
Yeah. So my question to you is, okay, so we both loved Fall Guys. You played Call of Duty a lot more than I did. Like, a lot more. Like, leagues more. Like, lunches more than I did. And like you said, you were not a Call of Duty guy. Does the initial sting of Fall Guys outweigh the performance of Warzone in the Battle Royale arena to you?
Yeah, so
I have no dog in this fight.
So I think the reason why I would pick Fall Guys over Call of Duty, when you get down to things that are close like this, you have to kind of nitpick.
Yeah.
Call of Duty Warzone is a battle royale game that does nothing to further the battle royale genre. It is as clean cut of a typical battle royale as you can possibly get. It does nothing new. It doesn't do anything that other games have done better. It does it all really well, but nothing that says, "Hey, this is the cream of the crop when it comes to battle royale."
Okay.
It's more of a surprising in that, like, I fucking hate Call of Duty, but I sure do love this.
I know that was my simple olive branch to be like, I know that you're already offing Warzone from this list. I just want to give you one more chance before we're like, okay,
Sure.
Let's fight over these 3.
No,
just in case.
And I like the idea that 2 of the 3 are games that we super agree on.
This is okay. I'm gonna do the wrestling thing from all of a sudden. The light dims, the music comes on for the secret wrestler that comes out of the back, and Flight Simulator comes out. Does it make this list?
For surprising in what way?
Just how ridiculously massive,
dude,
and
that's a good point. So, okay.
I've been thinking about, as we've been thinking, and I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want to go forward and just say like, oh, we just completely forgot about that.
No, we did,
at least
though.
like put it in the conversation. It doesn't have to go in the top 3 at all. I'm just saying like
now,
wow,
okay.
That thing.
So I think where that game comes in, I don't think it makes this list, but I think where that game really becomes a competitor is the way that they do it. Because they use a combination of a Google Earth type. I don't know if it's Google Earth specifically, but they use a Google Earth type of program to program not only the United States but the entire world. You can put in a longitude and latitude coordinate for anywhere in the world, and it will go there, and you can fly there. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, when you get off into the boonies, the game doesn't allow you to have like high resolution, like photorealism, which makes sense. I mean, if you're in the middle of nowhere, why would there be super photographic evidence? But Smithy in the chat, 100%. I landed a little plane. Well, I say landed. I crashed a plane on my street in front of my house, and it had my dumb car in the driveway. Pretty incredible. It is, I will say this, I don't know if it's necessarily surprising, but to me, it might be the technical achievement of the year. I think it's really, and they've only improved it, and they've continued to release resolution packs for different areas in the game. It's really a stunning piece of technology, and I can't wait for it to come out on console so I can actually run it, or I have a PC that can run it because my PC cannot run it.
Yeah, that thing.
It runs it okay. It is a technical powerhouse.
Sorts. Yeah, I was gonna say, you damn well better have like a freaking server room to run that sucker, because.
Well, and it's so funny because
details described.
I have literally the world at my fingertips when I play that game.
Yeah,
I can start at any airport in the entire world that I want to. I can be anywhere. And what am I doing? I'm flying out of Meacham Airport in Fort Worth so I can fly over my dumb house, or fly over where my dad lives. Like stupid, like American Truck Simulator is the same thing. Like I wish it had that's the state of Texas in it, because I want to drive the highways of Texas and be like, I drove on these too. Because you're a simpleton and you want to see things like that. Well, the Flight Simulator takes it to that next level of with the way that it has the photorealistic maps, where you can literally land in front of your house or crash into your house. It's really amazing, that game. And so what I'm saying is, and so what we're saying is that game wins this category. No. So look, I we've got our 3. Among Us is going to win this category. I don't think there's any argument, right?
I would fight you.
Let me just do. I didn't get a chance to talk about Mario 35.
Yeah, go right ahead, buddy.
If we were doing separate if we were doing like separate lists, like individual lists, this would win this category for me. But I'm not going to argue with Among Us, because I think as a collective group, that's the winner. When they announced this game, the first thing I did out of that entire thing, because remember, they announced a lot of really good shit in that direct. What was the one thing that I messaged you about the most and first? It was this game. Because this was from the makers of Tetris 99, which is an incredible game. And I was like, oh shit, they figured out a way to make a battle royale out of Super Mario Brothers. And it's free. And then it came out, and I played it the one night, and I was already bored of it because of the format of that game. It's like you said, if I never play 1-1 again in my life, I'd be okay with that. The variation, there's no variation in the game. The end game is boring and takes way too long to me. The concept, it's that thing where the concept did not meet the reality. The concept is perfect, and I don't know. I haven't played it since it came out, so maybe they've done some changes to it. That maybe that they've added some stuff to make it better, especially the end game. But as is when it released, it's just not it for me, and it's boring to me, boring as hell.
See, I must have got a different. My gameplay is, again, like I play it for its simplicity, and there are moments in that where definitely it could lend itself to, like, okay, I've literally been playing 1-1 and then whatever second level that is randomly chosen, and then back to 1-1 for about a good 5 minute spell, and I'm done, like, with this. Variation, I get what you're saying there too. I do like there were moments where, like, so initially when I played it, I really didn't understand, like, the mechanics of it. Then you had that, like, little, like, um that bonus square that was up top, that, just depending on how many coins you had accumulated, you can, you would have, like, this proverbial randomized wheel that it would select whatever power up that would come across. Um, there were moments where I would have to, like, fight two Bowsers in World 1-3. And if you know World 1-3, it's the world where you're basically, like, platform jumping on those tall trees. And unless I came up with some type of power block, I was screwed, because Bowser would literally be at a place, like, he would have the high ground. And I would just be like, what am I going to do here? Like, seriously. And just, I would expend my coins until I found a power block, and then I would move on. Um, that being said, I see your gripe. That game does have a very, very shallow system that, again, maybe it was because when you introduced this to me, and then we saw, the videos from it, that our minds raced, like, we were like, oh, what could they do with this? How could they make this, like, into a possibility? And, like, like you said, it just fell short on our expectations, and that's sad. But what it delivers, like, I understand, like, it's very, very, like, short and sweet.
I don't understand why they didn't just go with the idea of, okay, so the monsters being thrown at all the different places when you kill enemies and being sent to you, I think is a really good concept. I just don't understand why they didn't just go with the, hey, play Super Mario Brothers, get as far as you can. And
Sure.
Or at least have a mode where that's a thing, and you try to beat, and if you're the first one to beat Super Mario Brothers, or the last one, standing.
Sure.
And as you progress through the game, it gets more difficult and difficult because of the nature of the game itself, but also with all the characters that are getting thrown at you. And I think this randomization of the levels, especially early when they're not all unlocked and you get 1-1 every other level, it just made it to where it got to the point where again, you're just like, oh, cool, 1-1 again.
Yeah, that game could lend itself from, like, being a little more randomized. I understand that you have to unlock things. That kind of sucks. I didn't like that either, but maybe a little deeper dive might lend itself to a little more randomization. But I get it.
I also think that if Tetris 99 didn't exist, I'd probably feel better about this, because Tetris 99 is another example of a game that has a very common loop, but they're able to take the loop and make it feel like the original game. This doesn't feel like the original game. It feels like I'm playing levels from an original game. And it's just kind of, everything feels separate. I don't think it's bad. I don't want this to come off like I'm saying that I think Super Mario 35 is a bad game. It's just, man, I thought this thing was going to be almost a completely different thing than what they gave us. And maybe it is. I haven't turned it on since when did it come out? September. So maybe they've improved it, but you only have till March and then it's gone for some reason, which again, that whole thing's weird too. Among Us. I don't think we need to talk about Among Us anymore. Among Us is our winner. I'm going to mark this blue.
Excuse me.
I'm going to mark this blue. I'm just going to do it.
Do it.
I did it. Among Us is our most surprising game of the year, followed by Fall Guys and Super Mario 35. Charlie, I'm going to need you to vamp for 30 seconds. I'm going to run and get a drink.
Okay.
Give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back, everybody.
All right. So here's me vamping. We want to thank everyone who watches this show, who supports this show, whether it be through your kind words or through simply lurking in the chat, or heck, just like saying like, hey, we really like your show, that here's this you can do, there's that you can do, or heck, just seeing us like out on Twitch or on Twitter or anything like that. We really appreciate all the kind words that you guys are giving us. We are going to continue to work hard at doing this in the foreseeable future. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. So I just want to take this moment to wish all you guys, hope you guys are having a happy holidays from my family to yours. So now that Mitch is back, I'm going to read our next category.
Yes, sir.
It's the top 2020 games that, unfortunately, will be lost in the wash, or we revere it, but we will just never play it, unfortunately, just due to what the game is.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, Cyberpunk 2077. Number 2, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Number 3, Ghost of Tsushima. Number 4, Last of Us Part 2. God, that came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, The Marvel's Avengers. Number 6, Godfall. And number 7, Demon Souls.
Mm-hmm. Anything else that you can think of? I think this is pretty good.
I was going to say Genshin Impact.
Oh, yes.
But I have been staring at that thing on my phone. First of all, it's available on a phone.
It's available on the phone.
So if it's available on a phone, I'm like, I might knock the door on this sucker.
It's free on PS4 as well.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, man, I should try that out. God, it's really so funny because I look at this and I'm like, I can see myself trying all these games like in the near future, just depending on obviously what comes out, if anything comes out. But there are definitely some contenders here that it came out with a lot of clamor or a lot of brevity, but unfortunately, due to what it is or just other games coming out that are bigger and better or more appealing to us, this may be one of those games that gets lost in the wash.
Sure.
Just to clarify the what these are.
So, like we do with most of these, we definitely should start with what we feel is an easy cut, right?
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077 is a game that is broken right now for a lot of people, especially us console players. Unless they just can't figure it out and fix it, I don't see any reason why that's not a game we would play. So I almost put that game on there as a joke to be like, here's another negative thing about Cyberpunk, but I don't think it plays here.
So I agree with you. Like I have the game. I own the game on
Sure.
my PC. I've yet to boot it up because I'm currently working on another 2077 game. That's when Fallout, funny enough, takes place.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that that
Fallout
was the
4.
I forgot that was the exact year that the bombs
Um,
dropped.
yep. Streaming on Charizard 81 on Twitch TV. Um, so there's that.
All right, so I'm
Gosh,
taking it off.
yeah, that I'm gonna play that game,
um,
and I know that one day whenever it gets fixed, you will at least try it. This could be
dude,
your.
I'm telling you, I really want to play this game.
What was that? What was the game from a couple years ago that you're like, I have to try this thing? Like
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. This could be your Death Stranding for next year.
That's true. And look, I
In more
am.
ways than Death Stranding was, to be
I think
honest.
the game looks cool as hell when it runs. So I
Yeah.
really want to give it a shot. So I don't think it plays here. Um,
I don't know. Some of the most hilarious laughs that I've laughed out loud when watching a what is Cyberpunk doing? And this person's already driving through the street and all of a sudden gets launched into the atmosphere for no real reason. It makes me laugh, and I can't help that's a broken piece of the game, but even just thinking about it, I laugh. Um, Ghost of Tsushima, I want to play that game.
uh,
Like
yeah.
I'm going to play that game. Like
Yeah, I think we could take that off. In fact, I think our next category, this is going to be one that's highly debated to be on that next category.
okay.
So I'm going to
Yeah,
take
that's
that
fair. You could
off.
take that off. Yeah, it can't be on this one and then be on the
No, absolutely not. Unless one of us has a fucking good argument.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
I'm gonna say for me, God, this is hard because we're starting to get into like some games, and I'm like, I really want to play that game. Okay, I'll say this.
go ahead.
I will say this. I know a game on here that I will not play because I've played a better version of that game, and it's Godfall.
Okay, can I say something about that real quick, and I'll
Okay.
let you get into
Okay.
the reasoning. So the way that I feel that this category reads is that it's a game that either should be good like Cyberpunk or is a really damn good game, and we
Okay.
just know we're never going to get to it. From everything
Okay.
I've read, Godfall is a bad game,
Okay.
so I don't think it plays here.
Okay.
On
All right,
top
well,
of what you said of
okay.
it's just a
Yeah,
rip off of other games, especially
that's
games
fair.
that you love.
Okay. No, if that game does not fall within the ideals of this category, we can take that off there.
All right, we got to cut one more.
Um. Oh man.
Can I can I
Yeah.
give
You make a suggestion, buddy.
what if we also declared Avengers as a bad game?
I don't want to.
It's a bad game right now. It's a very average game.
It's an okay. That's fair to say.
Cuz it's going to get lost for me not because oh, it's great, but I'm just never going to get to it. It's lost to me because I don't think it's very good.
And Josh Isla in the chat, he's got a fair point that yeah, it was bad initially, but the development team has been definitely working at
Sure.
fixing the game. And again, the essence of what that game was, maybe it suffers from the hype machine in that
Right.
I mean, with the MCU being what it is, it's like almost anything that has Marvel characters in it should be tip top. And then when we saw, the character models of it, you're expecting what you saw on the big screen. And of course, the character models are such that it's just like it's just off a little bit to the point where like I can't accept that
Right.
as my Thor or my Tony Stark or my Black Widow. I felt the same way and I'll be honest, I felt the same exact way when I saw the character model of Peter Parker in Marvel Spider-Man. When I first saw him, I was like, "You're not Peter Parker." Like, who are you? Like, I seriously thought, I was like, okay. But it's just one of those things where like I was exposed to it so much through the gameplay, through the cinematics,
Sure.
that even like now I'm reassessing again due to the fact that the PS5 version,
I was about
the
to say,
upres
what about the
version,
new
has a
version of
brand new
Peter
model
Parker?
again,
It's
and I'm like, oh god, I
hilarious.
gotta redo this, reconfigure mental reconfiguration all in my brain again as to what Peter Parker should look like. Um, okay, that's fair. I'll take the fact that like okay, since the spirit of this is like that it's a very very good game, that it's it's just
And look,
something that
I want to address something that Josh said in the chat. Sure, we may play it and it may be good to us, but we can only go by what we see. And what we have seen of games like Godfall, especially Godfall, is that it's not good.
sure.
It's shallow. It's not that good. And what we have seen of Avengers in um our impressions of what that game is from other people and what we have seen, it's not where it needs to be. And um that's all we can really go on, especially for a list like this, because the um what's the word, I've lost the word. Anyway, so the reviews for Valhalla, Last of Us Part 2, Demon's Souls are such that those are good to great games. It's just okay, so now we got to think about, like, Demon's Souls makes our list. We're never going to play it. We don't play games like that. We love those games from afar. And, in a way, that's a shame because it looks like an incredible game. Maybe the game of the launch.
Sure.
Um,
And I mean, to respond to Josh Issel's comment in the chat, no, we don't have experience playing this game, but that's this category. It's that these are games that we did not play in 2020, but
yeah.
based upon our assessment,
Got to
based
pay
upon
attention
the
to the
channels
category
that we go through, based upon what we've seen, based upon what we've read, based upon all the articles that we've absorbed, we have to rank it somewhere in order to build a set list.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that this game is, no offense to quote, you said bad, and then you said average. I don't feel that game is this. I feel it could be a good game. I don't know. I've never played it.
Could be.
Like, I could start playing it tomorrow and be like, dude, this is like, I'm so glad we were completely wrong about this, yada, yada, yada. We just don't know. But our perception for this particular category has to be based upon things that we've absorbed through other forms of medium. Unfortunately, That's what this category is.
I mean, you could say the same thing about the next category in the positive way. We don't know if we know those games are good. I mean, well, one, because you've played one of them.
I know, yeah.
But like, for example, like Ghost of Tsushima is on that next list.
Yeah.
It could be phenomenal, but we're making a judgment based on what we've read that on the positive
this
side.
Category.
So it could be bad.
Trust me, when we get to our like Mount, I still want to call it the Mount CRUSHmore, man. Let me do it. When we get to the Mount Rushmore of games for us, these will be games that we have played. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, you are not going to see Resident Evil 7 because I have not played that this year.
Yeah.
You're not going to see Cyberpunk because although I've downloaded it, I have not played that this year.
Yeah.
And so, we've actually set a precedent where, again, I'll reiterate for people who are either joining in the chat, we put the stop line at like the first week of December. I would so go to bat for Hades right now because that's all I've been playing for the last 10 days, it seems like. Unfortunately, there was a cutoff line. So, and Smithy, I promise, when things cleared up, I was not supposed to work until yesterday. I was supposed to have been off since Friday, but work is work. So I will definitely, jump into that and take a peek on my PC. But anyway, going back to it, I agree with you. Avengers, we can leave aside because yes, of these 4 games that we feel, it is probably the least one that I can't hear you.
I also think it's the most likely of the four that we would actually eventually try
And
to.
that's true. I was gonna say that too. Is that you know me? If it's got Marvel slapped on it, I'm probably gonna play it.
Sure.
God, succubus.
Stop bringing
Succubus.
up Succubus, damn it.
That might be the game that gets lost in
The
the.
Smithy Fingers 2020 Game of the Year, Succubus. All right, we've got our three. What wins?
Yeah, Nico Bambi, dude, play Hades. It's awesome. So we're down to three left for this category. They're locked in: Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Last of Us Part Two, Demon Souls.
It's Demon Souls, isn't it?
The hard part about saying this is because Demon Souls, by its by what by its existence as an only PS5 entity, is that right? It's not PS4, is it?
It's PS5 exclusive.
Exactly. And so I can almost like, hammer that sucker in just by sheer like,
Possibility of not having a console to play it.
sure. But oh man, because see, I won't put Assassin's Creed Valhalla on there because you know me. If I start a series, which I started Assassin's Creed Origins quite a while back, I will finish that series, with hell or high water eventually. So that's probably the third place for me, at least.
I agree.
Last of Us Part 2, gosh.
Here's the problem I have with that. I haven't finished the first one.
And that's, I'm the same.
And I'm not sure I ever will.
I'm in the same boat as well in that I've started and I don't know what it is. I've started that first game numerous times and I will get to a point and each time I will get a little further and further from where I left off the last time. And I don't know if that's my body saying, "Hey dude, you need to you're done with this." Like, if you're not going to and it's not that I've eclipsed that moment by hours or I've maybe passed it by like a few scenes and then I'm like, I'll do that squirrel thing. I'm like, oh, let me look at that game over there really quick. And that will enrapture me a lot more than The Last of Us, which even in the limited capacity that I've played it, I still think it's a fabulous game and a fabulous product.
100%. Yeah. I'm kind of in the same place. Like I started it a few times. I don't know
if me not finishing it lends itself to how I really, really feel about it.
No. I don't think so because I have too. Like I've played it through. I've tried to play it through like 3 or 4 times, and it's great. The story is great up until where I played. The gameplay is really good. I just kind of fell off of it and never went back. Not because it's bad. I think it's really spectacular. And Charlie, does this win this category?
What?
Does Last of Us 2 win this? I thought it was Demon Souls the second I put it on the list originally. I think we're more likely to try Demon Souls than Last of Us Part 2 because we're never going to finish Last of Us at this point.
I will.
I'm not.
And that's the thing too, is that and see, I say this with a special caveat, is that I said the same thing about Uncharted 3, and then that collection came out a couple of years ago, and I went on an Uncharted 1 to an Uncharted 3 epic, and it was a fantastic set of nights of me just going through with Nathan Drake, and I've never thought that I would go through that game. This one's hard, to be honest, and I mean, for you, it's Last of Us Part 2?
I don't know, because I think it's just as likely I'll never play Demon Souls as Last of Us Part 2, so I don't know which one to pick. I think there is a 100...
You're not a Souls guy.
No, I'm not at all. Tried Bloodborne, one for me. I respect... There's probably not a game series I respect more than the Souls series. And this is even coming from series that I think are way, way more my thing. There's a 100% chance that I play Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I don't think there's any chance I miss that game ever. But out of the rest of this list, I think, it doesn't fit. But you know what? I think it's Demon Souls. I don't think there's those games just aren't us. Like, they're more you than me, but not that much more. Like, I feel like you're gonna try it because it's. I think the reason why you may give it a shot is because, oh shit, this is probably the game for PS5 at the time you buy your PS5.
Yeah,
because you've already played Spider-Man. Yeah, you're gonna want to see it on the PS5, but that's the game that showcases the PS5. So you're gonna want to see that.
God, man, I hate the answer to this. But yeah, I think it is Last of Us Part 2.
You think so?
Just because, when I think of sitting down and like, if I were in a room just stuck and I'm like, I want to play a game, I'm not the type to play a sequel before finishing its predecessor. I'm just not.
Oh, no, 100% no. I don't do that either. Hardly ever.
That may be a huge stickler in my, game playing. And no, I don't count like, oh, you didn't play Madden 19. You can't play Madden 20. That's not the same thing.
Sure.
God, especially a game such as this that is very story driven, that the story obviously breaches from 1 to 2. Like you said, like that one glorious day when I walk back to Sony and say, hey, I will buy you. I will try Demon Souls out eventually.
Okay.
Like you said, to showcase just what that engine can do. Granted, I might, play maybe a few hours of it and be completely done with it, but I will have played it.
Sure. Yeah, so. I think you're right. I think if you're taking us as a duo, I think there's less of a chance we play Last of Us. So,
yeah.
All right.
Consensus between both of us.
Yeah, I'm marking this.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the top game of 2020, released in 2020, that we'll probably never play. Winner, Last of Us Part 2. Runners-up, Demon Souls. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because we had to pick a third. All right. You ready to move on?
Yeah, man.
Let's go to the other side of it.
Number 4.
The game that was released in 2020 that there is no doubt we are going to play in 2021. This is a fucking list, man.
This one's going to be the harder one.
This is going to be so hard.
Already see one in there that I can get rid of.
1, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 2, Doom Eternal. Cyberpunk 2077. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Ghost of Tsushima, The Pathless, Bugsnax, talking about Bugsnax, and Hades. So this one's a little hard because there are a couple of these that one of us has played. That's the case for Spider-Man, and that's the case for Hades. I don't think that necessarily means they need to be cut for that, but it may not in the end help their cause.
And that doesn't necessarily say like, oh, well, we're cutting this game, so we're not going to play it in 2021. That's just saying that, like, okay, this one, even though we could possibly be playing it, this one, the winner of this category takes more precedence.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing that we need to talk about real quick, I think we need to talk about, hold on a second. What do you need?
Do I need to vamp? Because I love to vamp. Vamp, 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 and vamp.
All right, you don't need to vamp. Are we going to, for this category, are we making the assumption they're going to fix the problems?
Yes.
If we're making the assumption that the problems are fixed, then we can keep Cyberpunk on this list for now. If we can't make that assumption and there's a chance it could not be fixed, then I don't think I can. Because I am not playing that game until it's fixed. And
2021 is a long time.
It is. Yes, and we'll and when it comes to the games that we're going to talk about in the final category before the big one, that also has a bearing on that too. We're going to be making a little bit of assumptions. Because with Cyberpunk, until that game is fixed and it has its next gen release, I will not play that game. I just don't feel comfortable paying for a game that's broken. But if we're just going to take it on the merits of, okay, the game got fixed, in terms of excitement, then we can keep it there. It's not a bit. It's not a bit, but it kind of is a bit. We can probably take Bug Snacks off. I really want to play Bug Snacks. I think that game looks charming as shit.
And I was gonna say, like, it's definitely a game that I will definitely, play a little bit of.
Yeah,
it's charming.
It's not gonna fall
in
on
its
this
appearance. What we've seen of it, we've heard really, 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 really awesome reviews for it. But there are giants on this list that I'm just like, Bug Snacks is the appetizer. I'm looking for the main course.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. This is going to be tough.
Because I'm finding some difficulties just because I've played 2 of the games on here, Spider-Man Miles Morales and Hades, and so I'm going to try to do my best to not sway the discussion because of my experience with these games, because fortunately for me, they are very, very good experiences. God, Doom Eternal. Oh my God, I keep looking at that one, and I keep telling myself, I'm going to play that game. But speaking to what I had said earlier, until I beat Doom, 2018, is it 2018, 2017, 2016, 2016. Yeah. Until I beat that one, which I don't know what it is. Like I discussed with Nico Bambi on this as well. We will play games until we know it is pretty much end game, and then all of a sudden we'll drop off because we just don't want that experience to end. I have that experience with Doom. I've already gone to hell and I've gone back, and I know that I'm pretty much right there at the end of it, but I'm still pussyfooting my way around clinching it.
Okay, so we're
back to the list, buddy.
No, I was letting you finish, but the let's go back to talking about the games where one of us has played it in its merits of being on that list, especially compared to the ones where we both haven't. We got Spider-Man Miles Morales, and now we've got Hades that you've picked up on. For me personally, both of those are on this list, but because you haven't played, I should say, because you have played them, I'm just wondering if maybe for the group list, maybe it doesn't play.
And that's fair. I was already having difficulty trying to see how I was going to navigate around that without having to be too subjective.
Sure.
But like you said, if one of us played it and the other one hasn't, you really got to play Miles Morales and you really got to play Hades.
Exactly.
But it doesn't. It doesn't qualify for this list. So,
and then by the same token, games that are on this list where one of us has every intention of playing it and the others, it's not their type of game. Doom Eternal. That's one for me that I just don't see a scenario where I will play Doom Eternal, because I just never got through Doom. I think it's great. It's just not me. And then
Shelf
and then
life for a
and
second.
and then on the other token, like I know you think the Pathless looks cool, but that doesn't seem like your type of game, right?
It doesn't.
Like the Pathless would be on my list, but I
Sure.
just don't. I don't think because like to me the list is Cyberpunk, Assassin's Creed, and Ghost because I think those are 3 games that we haven't played yet. I mean, you've turned on Cyberpunk, but you haven't played Cyberpunk.
Sure.
And we both have not played, and we both are going to want to play in 2021. I think there's
Pathless for me is probably Doom Eternal for you.
I think there's a scenario where if you and I had individual lists of this category, we would have 3 different games.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I think we would have 3 different games.
But I agree with you. I'll go with you on that. That like Doom Eternal for me is probably going to be the Pathless for you, in that, you know, that's probably the route you're going to take in regards to games that came out this year, and you're just that's your game. That's your type of game.
Are there any of the 3 games, Cyberpunk, Assassins, and Ghost? Are there any of those games would you argue Doom Eternal more from a personal standpoint? Like, would you go to bat for it harder than the rest? Same for me with the Pathless. Are you that into Doom Eternal that you're going to fight for it over one of those others?
I would fight Doom Eternal over Ghost and Assassins. That's just because of my my familiarity with Doom. Cyberpunk, I've yet to touch Cyberpunk, so I can't really weigh those two on an even keel.
Also, I feel like with Cyberpunk, it's a little bit hard for you because you've already put the money into it, so you kind of have to put up and shut up.
Correct.
So I think the only one that I could possibly make that argument with for the Pathless is Ghost, but I don't know if it's enough to override our like, I guess, dual want of playing. I don't know.
I mean, again, if regardless of like the pre-order that I made towards Cyberpunk, like I haven't bought Doom Eternal yet, and I'm going to I want to play that game next year, like to the point where I'm like, screw it, even if it means that I'm not going to stream the game. I'm finishing Doom, period. It's definitely on my to-do list because it's right there. I just have to suck it up, nut up, and jump into the breach and start playing Doom Eternal. Because what I've seen from like Smithy streams are just like, this is my game, this is my jam.
Is it your number? Would it be your number one?
My number one overall?
Of the, if you had your own list, is that your winner?
Probably. Like Cyberpunk again.
See, that's interesting because like
the
Pathless would be on my list, but it wouldn't win. So okay. You saying Doom Eternal is your number one with a bullet point?
Yep.
I think that makes it a contender to be on the list. We just got to figure out which one it replaces. To be perfectly honest, my number 3 on this list is Cyberpunk.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I can't help but make it number 3 because of the issues. Because there's a scenario there's a scenario where this game doesn't get fixed enough. I don't play it in 2021. The other two, they're ready to go. So, which one would you replace?
I would replace Valhalla. I barely made a dent in Origins, and you know me, I'm not going to cut Odyssey just to get to Valhalla. And maybe I'm looking too literal in that games that will be played in 2021. I will play Valhalla one day.
Yeah.
It may not be next year.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is that, yeah. I mean, that's the same. But to be honest, that's true of all of those.
Will definitely be played next year for me.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal will be played next year for me.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost of Tsushima will be played next year for me. But these are not, like, Doom Eternal is probably the one that, like, I would write in, like, pen. The others, again, this is top game. This is not like, oh, I've got rid of those other ones, so I'm never playing a Hades or Bug Snacks or the Pathless at all, whatever. Like, again, these are like preferred what I would want to play.
Okay, so what about Doom Eternal?
In 2021.
What about Doom Eternal, Cyberpunk, and Ghost as our top 3? What do you think of that?
I'd be fine with that. Would you be fine with that? I know Cyberpunk is your.
No, I mean, no. Look, I
that would be my list.
I think there are certain people.
Like, I don't want to cut Pathless off at the knees, but.
No, look, again, the Pathless would make my list. It'd probably be number 3 on my own personal list. In fact, in fact, all of mine are being cut. That would be on my personal list, which is fine.
I would give you Ghost if it meant Pathless went on there. Unless Ghost supersedes the Pathless. Because, again, I would love to play Ghost of Tsushima, but again, it's like, it's there, but I will play these 2 first.
Boy.
It just depends on how your list is built versus my list.
See, here's the... Okay. If we put Doom, Cyberpunk, and Pathless on this list, I cannot give Cyberpunk the win, even though that's the game that both of us would play. I just can't give it to a game that is broken like it is right now.
Sure.
Because there's no guarantee it will be ready. It probably will, and I hope it does, because I cannot fucking wait. But then you and I are just going to be arguing about 2 100% completely different games. And I don't... Then it turns into Skyrim Saints Row, and I don't think that's fun. I really want to play Ghost a lot.
Okay.
I think Ghost should go on there. Assassin's Creed, Pathless go off, and I think Ghost wins. It's the closest one that we have to both of us wanting to play the equal amount with it being high. I think Doom, with me not having any interest, hurts it a little bit. And I just, like I said, I can't... I think it's kind of amazing that Cyberpunk even makes the top 3. I didn't think that would be a possibility, but it's here, and I think it's correct. But I think the winner is Ghost.
Okay.
That's
fair. I mean, that would definitely be a consensus. I would play Doom like right now if I had it. Like, I don't even have the game, but if there were, again, a second place, it would definitely be Ghost. Again, I have a more emotional connection to Doom Eternal just because I've played the Doom games, and Doom from the 90s is my number 1 game of all time. But our impressions of Ghost of Tsushima when that sucker first came out at that E3 were just like frothing at the mouths. And unfortunately 2020 came and went, and we're in the middle of building our podcast streaming empire. So we were doing other things, but at the same time, that was always at the back of my mind as I'm like thinking about what do I want to play next. And even looking at our other fellow streamers that were within our community, like we saw Elite Asian, he started playing, and I was like, oh man, this is a game like I really, really want to start playing. And Yeah, no, I would be fine with Ghost of Tsushima definitely taking this category as a consensus for the MC Gamescast because it's a great game.
It's one of those weird things where it's one of the few games you forget came out this year. Doom is kind of like that too. You're like,
God.
fuck, that did come out this year. I think it's hard because we don't have our hands on a lot of next gen stuff like with new like Demon Souls type games. Like you could argue that Ghost up until the new consoles was the best looking game made. It is stunning. Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's Ghost. I think of these games, it's the one I'm most likely to play.
God, when did that come out? It's like summer.
Yeah, I feel like that was a June release.
I don't know which blue you use, so
Yeah, just pick a boo. It's fine.
So yeah,
hold on to give me a second. That game came out July 17th.
Okay, yeah. So,
all right. No, that is not the blue I used.
Our top 2020 game that will be played in 2021. That is Ghost of Tsushima, followed by Doom Eternal and, God help us, Cyberpunk 2077.
You know what? If they fixed that game, if it was guaranteed to be fixed, it'd probably be number one for me. Cyberpunk. But who knows? We'll see. I hope so. Please, CD Projekt Red, get it fixed. All right. I think this category. I hope you agree, Charlie. I think this one's going to be our favorite. This one seems the most fun. There's a lot of good stuff on here. Give us the list of the most anticipated game of 2021.
Most anticipated game of 2021. That is the games that come out in 2021, by the way, just to clarify. We have Hitman 3, Deathloop, Back 4 Blood, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, and the Mass Effect Legendary Collection.
Are there any others?
Halo Infinite.
You can take it off the list. This not for me. Resident Evil.
Resident Evil 8.
Yeah.
I'll put that on the list because it's worth talking about.
That's going to be on the list of 2021 game that I will never play. Come back next year.
Oh man,
for that.
This one's going to be super hard.
Oh yeah. Anything else we're missing? I went through that list we talked about last week on the podcast, and I think these are it.
There's nothing from Nintendo, huh?
Not announced.
See, and that's the problem.
That's the problem. Is that there's
this
not
is based upon announcements that are pretty concrete. So.
Also, there's no guarantee that these games will actually come out next year. We're just going by games that have been announced
God
as
of War Ragnarok.
Right. There's
honestly,
funny enough, we could come back next year and pick the same winner as this year for next year.
Yeah. And honestly, boy, if I were assured that this game were released in 2021, I would immediately just go ahead and put my stake into the ground for God of War Ragnarok.
It is very hard.
But I honestly, God, I cannot in my right mind, based upon a title screen cinematic, put this here. Even though it says it's 2021.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's put that to the side for now. Let's make our cuts we know are going to happen.
Okay.
Horizon Forbidden West. You have never played Horizon Zero Dawn. I played a decent amount of it, liked it. I liked it. Ain't no way this is making the list, right?
Yep. I mean, I'm still looking forward to playing the first Horizon game.
Exactly,
So,
right.
my
Most anticipated 2021 game, Horizon Zero Dawn.
the needle doesn't. I mean, it moves a little bit, but it doesn't really like shake the ground like a lot of these other games on here.
Okay. All right, I'm going to cut it. The other one I think we should cut is Mass Effect Legendary.
Fucking asshole.
It ain't making the list, Charlie. Dude, there are 3 games on this list that are making it over that for not even a remake, it's a remaster. They're not doing anything to it.
Let's just leave that there for a second.
Okay, then we're cutting Deathloop.
I honestly can see Deathloop off this list.
I cannot believe you're cutting Deathloop over Mass Effect Legendary.
And here's the reason. Here's my reason. Okay. As events kind of carried out through 2020, we were so stoked when that first thing appeared on the PlayStation State of Play. And then all of a sudden, things started to change in various ways. We saw different trailers that portrayed the game from a different perspective that we were just like, okay, I didn't know that this game was going that direction. Even you were like, okay, now I'm like, I've kind of like, I'm a little lukewarm at what this game is going to present me. And then obviously the acquisition of Bethesda by Microsoft, who knows what that or how that is going to affect that game. And that's a PS5 game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's another thing that kind of puts me into the like, oh, okay, well, I don't have a PS5 right now. These are little like chinks in the armor for me that drop it in this list, because I'm starting to become, again, I was super excited when we saw that State of Play, and now like that there's this and then there's this and then there's this, and you're just like, okay, I need to temper my enthusiasm a little bit. And not saying that I'm not excited about it, I'm still excited about the game, just not as much so. And maybe it's just perhaps like it's been a while since Deathloop has been mentioned. A lot of what's on here, like its hype is derived from recency.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Mass Effect Legendary thing was not announced like not that long ago.
Sure.
And it's always been a rumor, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, and holy fuck, and they're making a sequel of this, and we're so excited. And it's just one of those things where it is recency. And so that's why I can't tell you that like I am 1000% gonna put Mass Effect on the top 3, but I have to like think about this, objectively.
Sure. Can we just go ahead and put Back for Blood on the list?
Yeah. Oh fuck yeah, dude.
I have a feeling we may be putting it in a different color in a minute.
God bless. I can't. If it is what they purported it to say it is,
yeah.
And like you're talking about a person who, God, you remember how many hours we put into Left 4 Dead 2?
This is Left 4 Dead 3. I've seen some stuff on it. I've seen people play the alpha that came out last week.
Oh my gosh.
It's Left 4 Dead 3. And it looks like it.
My brain is already stirring at the creative juices of, okay, what are we going to do with this thing in 2021? Not like what are we going to do with this thing? I've got like features that we can do. We got some co-streaming that like we could possibly do, just to incorporate into like, the Twitch thing. And even if Twitch didn't exist, like the fact that like that sucker came out, I'm just like, yeah, and it's, yeah, I agree with you there. It goes on the top.
Yeah, I think it does too. I
will say the other one that goes on the top of this list is Hitman 3.
Okay.
Thanks to our buddy and my brother Josh Shizzle 2323, he has reignited how awesome the new Hitman series is, and it just keeps getting better and better. And I played a little bit of the Hitman 2. The fact that they refined what Hitman does so great. It looks outstanding. Um, and it's less than a month practically till it comes out. Again, I can't help but be affected by recency, or that the fact that it's right around the corner. But I'm very, very excited about Hitman 3.
Look, I think even taking the recency bias out of it, and even taking out seeing Josh play it, I don't think there's any doubt that it's one of the three games. It's just the IO Interactive's revitalization of this series is nothing short of incredible. That development studio,
Hitman, baby,
was dead. That studio, there's never been a studio closer to death be resurrected than IO Interactive being purchased by Square. And when they announced the original Hitman was going to be an episodic series, everybody was like, what the fuck are they doing? What is this shit? Yep. What is this? Really? They're bringing back Hitman, and this is what they're going to do with it? And for a lot of people, it was their game of the year back in the year that it came out. Was it 17? First one came out 15? 16.
It won over Doom. So
that's right. I'm
telling you.
So yeah, and again, obviously we're taking this from, this is supposed to be, this is our awards, but yeah, like just in seeing people play it, whether it's Giant Bomb, Josh, anybody else play it, like it's not on my list because I've just not played Hitman, but in terms of, I can't wait for this to come out for everybody else to play it, it might be number one from that standpoint. So yeah, I think it belongs on the list. Now for certain people in the chat, I should go ahead and preface this by saying that just because we say it shouldn't be on the list doesn't mean it's bad. I don't think Resident Evil 8 makes this list for us. I don't care for Resident Evil from the standpoint of playing it. And I know for you personally, as much as you like Resident Evil and stuff, I don't think for you, right, that would also it out of everything still on this list.
Correct.
For the one spot.
I'm super excited for Resident Evil 8. The successes that came from Resident Evil 7, the new perspective that they put in there, and the fact that they've gone back to the old school horror is in a weird way refreshing. But at the same time, I agree with you there that when I'm looking at this specific list, it will not crack my top three.
Right.
That being said, like it's definitely one of the games to look out for in 2021. I know my brother's going to be all over that with a bag of chips. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, not. I mean, you want to
talk about Resurrection?
I will be a spectator.
Resurrection stories, along with Hitman, Resident Evil. That series was pretty much dead after 6.
There's a lot of Resurrection stories on here.
Yeah, top Resurrection of 2020.
Oh my gosh, yeah, like so. God of War was dead, man. Like,
but yeah,
after Ascension, you're like, well, that
Mass
series
Effect
is
still may be dead.
We'll just talk about other things first. Again, I'll say this: I'm super excited for a God of War Ragnarok. Don't get me wrong.
Look, here's the deal. This is the way I look at it. I think God of War Ragnarok is on this list, and here's why.
You have to tell me, like, of all people, you have to tell me why.
Well, this is weird. I have to make this argument for you. I'm going to start with, I cannot put a basic remaster on this list. I don't care if it's the greatest series of all time. They're not doing anything to Mass Effect. You can play those 3 versions right now if you want to.
Yeah, would be remade.
Huh?
The Mako would be remade.
No, it's still going to be bullshit. Do not use the Mako as your reason to put this on the list. I will shut this podcast down. Look,
okay.
Look, God of War Ragnarok, we have to go under the assumption that it is 100% coming out this year. It has been announced for 2021. It's coming out this year. We cannot be like, well, what if it doesn't? We've been told it's coming. Based on your excitement after God of War, your game of the year, by the way, back in that year, right? That was your game of the year? Was it that or Spider-Man? 1A, 1B?
Yep.
And then the excitement that you had, like I did with Fable, when they were like, hey, I'm Kratos. God of War Ragnarok. Boom! that fucking chub you got from just that puts that on this list.
It was the Keanu Reeves of God of War.
You know, look, if they were doing substantial work to Mass Effect Legendary, I could hear the argument. But because if
it was like a Final Fantasy VII remake,
or even if it was like a, hey, we're doing some work to this, we're upgrading, like doing full upgrades to textures, we're working on some of the inventory issues of 1, we're getting rid of the Mako for good because it sucks. We're putting in the work. They're not doing work on this. They're saying, hey, we got these 3 games. Remember that? We need money so we can make the next one. Which fucking guess what? I'm gonna buy it because I'm a simpleton. But I just don't think in terms of anticipation, like if they didn't announce that, nothing would have changed for us. But I think I don't care about God of War. I've never played God of War. I didn't like that. I didn't like the original series that much. I want to play God of War 2016, and I would love, but I don't have any. Dude, it's God of War Ragnarok.
Okay. I
can't believe I had to argue your game to you. That's hilarious. I love it.
My reasons are valid.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I would love to know more about that.
Gone then, right?
I think Deathloop goes.
Okay.
Oh
my God, this is going to be hard.
No, it's not. It's Back for Blood. No, it's Back for Blood. I don't care about Hitman. I don't care about God of War. We both fucking care about Left 4 Dead. We want Back for Blood. Do you need 10 minutes to go watch the alpha footage?
No. I have a huge place in my heart, my gaming heart, for Hitman 3. Mm-hmm. But yes, since this is a consensus list and we both equally have that passion for Back for Blood, I agree with you. I think Back for Blood will take it here. God, I hope that thing is good. God bless, man.
It sounds like the early impressions, the alpha impressions.
It's across all systems, right? With crossplay.
I believe it's next gen and PC only, but it is crossplay.
Yeah, I'm. If multiplayer games don't do crossplay going forward into 2021,
dude, you're 100% right. Oh no, it's on old consoles too.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Now, I don't know about crossplay between the new consoles, but yes.
Sure. I'm sure that you could they probably match old consoles with each other, new consoles with each other. PC just does whatever they want to.
Yeah, now I know with Xbox Series S and X with Xbox One, everything's compatible with each other, so I don't think that's an issue. And you would think that's the same between PS4 and PS5. And you know what's funny? You talk about recency bias. That was like a week and a half ago.
I know
that we fucking knew about this, but it's also true. So congratulations to Back for Blood, the MC Gamescast anticipated 2021 game of the year, with runners-up Hitman 3 and God of War Ragnarok with its title card.
Will Back for Blood have the what was that? The cry outs like Bill Lewis?
They have to.
Bill.
You have to.
Lewis.
Oh my God. Francis. Yep. That's it.
Zoe.
All right. So we are done with our.
All right, we're done.
Yeah, we're done with these categories. Let's just go through them real again. The biggest news story of 2020. Winner, pandemic takes a toll on gaming and development, with runners-up, Microsoft buys Bethesda, and Cyberpunk 2027's rocky year release and removal from PlayStation, the PlayStation Store. The most surprising game is Among Us, with runners-up Fall Guys and the disappointment of Super Mario 35. The top 2020 game that we probably will never play, The Last of Us Part 2 is the winner, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Demon's Souls, the runners-up. 2020 game that we absolutely will play, Ghost of Tsushima, is the winner, with Doom Eternal and Cyberpunk 2077 as runners-up. And the most anticipated game of 2021, Back 4 Blood, with Hitman 3 and God of War Ragnarok as runners-up. Charlie, it's time to move on to the big category, the game of the year, and we're doing it a little bit different from most places. We're gonna reveal our top 5 individual list, and then we're gonna come up with, instead of doing a top 5 with a winner, we are gonna do a top 4 in no particular order, basically a Mount CRUSHmore, as Charlie wanted to put it. Charlie, give it to us. Give it to us. A Mount what?
CRUSHmore.
Beautiful. And so we're gonna start with with our individual list. Charlie, I thought what we would do is we would start at 5 and just go back and forth, kind of like we did with the gaming survey, and just work our way up. What do you think about that?
That'll be fun.
Okay, and just to let everybody know, this is not just 2020 games, like 2020 release date games. This is games that we played in 2020, regardless of their release date. So Charlie, why don't you go ahead and give us your number 5 game of the year?
Oh, this was a hard. I mean, number 5 is the hardest one, to be honest. I think than number 1. Because
I'm sorry, I should have said this before. Do we want to go over the honorable mentions first or last?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go over them first.
I'm sorry. That's my fault. Go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and give us your honorable mentions.
Oh boy.
You don't have to go through the entire list, just whatever you think we need.
Out.
Yeah, just whatever you think we need to hit.
My honorable mentions for the year. Again, these aren't all games that I played this year. These are games that, these are all games that I played this year, but they didn't necessarily come out this year, as we all know. I played Oxenfree, played that on the iOS. That was really, really fun. Resident Evil 2, I had a fun time playing that. My favorite game of all time, which, I'm not going to put that on my top 5 list for this year. That's Doom from the 1990s. We have, obviously, the Jackbox. Which part? I don't know. That was a lot of fun. Super Mario Odyssey. I liked that game a lot. It did very, very new things for the 3-dimensional platformer for the Mario series. It didn't quite crack my list. We have Super Smash Ultimate for the Switch. Some of us may say this is better than just a fine game. Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2. I put, and this is my honorable mention, I have Rocket League. We have a couple of Call of Duty mentions here. We have the Warzone installment, the Great Battle Royale, as well as the World at War. God, I have gotten so much into World War II documentaries this year that I played through World at War and just had a blast of a time. I'm taking this game off because this game was not very good. Lara Croft Go, very, very fun game that you can play on your phone. Very, very easy, very seamless. The puzzles were really, really good. Chess Ultra. If you haven't watched The Queen's Gambit, I know we're not a movie or a show's podcast, but watch The Queen's Gambit on Netflix while it's still on. It is a great miniseries about a little girl who pretty much, it's a parallel to Bobby Fischer. And boy, it made me want to play chess, and I've played a good amount of chess in the last month or so now, and I'm getting better. So Super Mario Brothers 35. I played a little bit of that. I liked it a lot more than my partner here. Tetris 99. Obviously, with the acquisition of the Switch this year, I dived headfirst into what the Switch could offer me. And Tetris 99 is fun. Oh my gosh. Battle Royale, playing Tetris, like, it can really, really humble you fast and make you realize how bad of a Tetris player you are.
Yeah, 100%.
Almost immediately. And then last but like not least, tied for sixth amongst all these other games, Retro Bowl. It was the closest thing to Tecmo Bowl that I could come across, especially in a time where they were canceling all the sports games and I needed some sports in my life. Didn't really get into Madden 21 too much, I like my $60. No offense, Mean Green. But Retro Bowl, a really, really fun iOS game that I played on my phone, and I took the Dallas Cowboys to their Super Bowl. So, yep. Those are my honorable mentions.
Cool. Let me go through mine real quick.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I be a moment? I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Do your thing.
Yeah, I'll do my thing. My honorable mentions, we're going to start with the Animal Crossing New Horizons on the Switch. Had a really good time. It was at the start of the pandemic. It was neat kind of being part of the cult of personality. I did fall off that game pretty hard, so that's kind of why it wouldn't make my big list. It's a cool thing, though. Maybe one day I'll go back to it. Next, Crosscode. That is a kind of 16-bit RPG. It's on PC. It's on consoles. It's a neat little action RPG that is very reminiscent of games like Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana with its action RPG elements. It's really cool. Fall Guys is also on my list. Really had a good time with that. It makes an incredibly good first impression, and I think it's just a neat game. Would love to get back into it. So those are the games that came out this year. To games that did not come out this year but played this year, Assassin's Creed Origins. I don't think I played it enough to be able to put it on the list, but I am having a great time playing it. It's really nice to be back on Assassin's Creed again. So I'm definitely going to keep playing that, and maybe that's a game for next year's list. Next up is PUBG. PUBG continues to be a game that I know is bad, but I can't help it. It's great. I know it's a bad game. I know it's bad, but I can't help myself. I think it's still the game that when I get to the end of it, it still gives me the most nerves. And in fact, I played a game yesterday where I was in the final little bit, and I was so stressed out and nervous and shaking, and I couldn't help it. But I know PUBG is still bad, but I can't help it. Jackbox, just like Charlie said in his, it's a great group game. Any of the Jackboxes, definitely need to do a Jackbox community night soon. Kind of like we talked about earlier with Call of Duty Warzone, I'm shocked that I like that game as much as I do. It does some cool things. It doesn't do a lot of new things, but it's really neat. The Tourist, which I talked about earlier, it was a really neat Game Pass kind of roulette. Hey, all right, spin the wheel, download this game, and it ended up being great. And finally, this is less of a game, but more of an experience. Marbles on Stream. Had a great time doing that. It was a lot of fun playing commentator and playing music and just being able to hang out and chat with people and chat on the stream. As a game, it's not really a game. So, it's cool. So that's my honorable mentions. Now, Charlie, we can get into our top 5. What is your number 5?
So number 5 for me was Hitman 2. Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm saying Hitman 2 over Hitman 1, even though I didn't play as much Hitman 2, just due to time constraints. It took, as I had said before, the best things from Hitman 1 and made them better. And it took some of the shortfalls of Hitman 1 and improved upon them. It was a much more refined system than the first game. The story, some can argue that, Hitman, the story is not really at the forefront. It's more or less the actual mission. It goes in directions that are definitely unexpected. The the combat system, the way to sneak around, it's a little more difficult. I mean, honestly, like I think for Hitman 2, it goes back to like Hitman Blood Money and Hitman Absolution, where those games, I mean, a lot of people can argue that the new Hitman games are easier than their predecessors, but Hitman 2 definitely like ups the stakes a little bit. The maps for Hitman 2, I'm not as familiar at, just because Hitman 1 I played so much of the first 2 and 3 maps. Marrakesh can kind of go away, but there's just, I mean, it goes in a direction where Hitman, like it's not like a step, it's not a step, a horizontal step. It's more of like, okay, we're stepping onto a higher tier of of assassinations and of, moving parts that placate into the Hitman system. And it's a really fun game, really fun experience. And you can, just by having Hitman 2, you can actually go back and play Hitman 1 again, because honestly, I think they opened up all the seasons to playing. So
That's really cool that they do that.
Yeah, Hitman 2 is my number 5.
That's good. That's cool. It's it's a really neat thing that I hope one day to play.
Man, we invite you with open arms to play that thing, and once you get your hooks, your meat hooks clamped on, you will not go away. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Please don't call it meat hooks.
Hooks, go.
All right, my number 5 is Battlefield 5. Thanks to Game Pass, taking on EA Play service, a lot of the EA games from the past and the present were added to Game Pass, including Battlefield 5, where they go back to World War II for the first time in a long time. I have not enjoyed a Battlefield game since Battlefield Bad Company 2, which came out a long time ago. But I got really into this. I think it looks amazing. It looks, it's one of the best technical looking games. It's just, everything is just polished. It's really cool looking. I think the gameplay is really nice. I think the shooting is really good in it. It really does, especially when you get into the big 32 on 32 games with lots of people, it gets real sweaty, as they say. But yeah, I had a really good time with it. The battle royale in that game is dead, and so it's no fun if you can even get into a game. But your typical your typical Battlefield modes, conquest and and things like that. It's Battlefield, and it's really fun. I really enjoy it a lot. Charlie, give me your number 4.
My number 4 is Mario Kart Deluxe. I had Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U for the longest time, and I put a considerable amount of time playing that game, unlocking levels and everything like that. And honestly, I thought that was the best that game could get until I got the Switch and Mario Kart Deluxe. And with Mario Kart 8, I tend to play that on my own or online. You know, the online component can definitely put you in your place when it
Right.
comes to Mario Kart. But with Mario Kart Deluxe, I brought it over to my in law's house and I played with my nieces, and I forgot how much fun trash talking with another person in the same room can be when you're playing that game. Like, I know that like that's an extra component on top of Mario Kart. Mario Kart Deluxe is a great game. Like, it is so well polished. All the levels look really, really pristine and really, really gorgeous at high definition. Um, Everything moves so well, and all the character designs are just, tip top. Um, the racing is such that every moment, like, obviously, like, if you want to race on like a lower tier, yes, like, you're gonna own that thing, and so there's like definitely a point of entry. But with the more difficult, higher CCs, there is not a race that I am constantly not at the edge of my seat and enjoying every minute of it, even like when I'm, driving past bends or power sliding into the straightaway. Sometimes I get caught looking at the background of the game because it's so gorgeous and it plays so well and it's so much fun. And back to what I was saying earlier, the multiplayer is such that it's just great to play with other people, especially when you're playing with online people. Like, like, you're almost like rooting for each other, as like if you're on the same team to try to beat these online opponents. And then on top of all that, the one thing I did not like about Mario 8 was the battle system. They have refined that in Mario Kart Deluxe, where they've now, instead of putting it on a bullshit um, raceway, they actually have their own dedicated arenas again. Because that's the one thing I could not understand about like Mario Kart 8 was like, why do you have it on a raceway? Like, you're literally like just racing constantly. Like, the person behind you is just kind of keeping at the same pace, and the person in front of you is kind of keeping at the same pace too. And so, like, the battle system is all about chaos, and that's kind of what that introduces, with the return of the battle arenas with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and it's a very, very, very refined game. I can't talk enough about it, and that's just only my number 4 game. So
Yeah, it is one of the best Switch games for sure. I 100% agree wholeheartedly with that assessment. I wish I played more of that this year. Kind of got lost, playing
yeah,
new stuff.
with everything
Um,
else.
but speaking of driving, Charlie, my number 4 is the American Truck Simulator. Okay, I'm
Oh,
gonna
we
go.
got okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and start by
Sit up.
saying that American Truck Simulator is a boring ass game. It is boring. It just is. It's not exciting. It's just not. But there may not be a more relaxing game that I played this year. Just a game that I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw this on. I'm gonna turn on the radio, the online radio. Basically, it's like, satellite radio, and I'm just gonna drive the open highways of the Western United States. It it has the progression of your typical simulator game. You earn money, then you buy upgrades, and then you earn more money, and then you buy more upgrades. Rinse and repeat. But yeah, it was definitely the game that whenever I put it on, because look, there were times this year that things were crazy, whether it's pandemic related or just personal related, and that was the game that I could go to and be, kind of be like, okay, I'm just gonna turn my brain off, and this is what I'm gonna do for the next 2 hours. Um, I don't think it makes for a great streaming game, but that's okay too. Some games aren't meant for that, and that's okay. But it's incredible. It really is incredible how something so boring could be really good and interesting and really kind of just ease your mind. So yeah, that let's just say that would be my number one mental health game of the year. But it is number 4 on my list for this year. Charlie, you're number 3.
Before my number 3,
Yes.
I saw you play a lot of that, and like definitely like have thought about, like I said, one way or another, giving myself like a mental douche a little bit just to relax myself. But have there been any expansions? I know like the maps were pretty limited at the time earlier in the year. I didn't know like how far, because do they have one for Texas? That's just my
They
question.
are working on Texas. The rumor is that Texas is the next big update. They put out about 2 or 3 states a year. So right now there's California, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Idaho. So the pretty in Nevada. So pretty much the entire Western United States is there, which is a ton of content. But Texas is on the docket next, and their plan is by the time they're done developing for this game, the entire United States, the continental United States, is going
Wow.
to be done. Now, like when it gets to like some of the smaller states, especially the states kind of in the Midwest that are a little bit smaller, they'll put out like multi-state packs. But the word is that they are working on Texas right now. So
Have you done Euro Trucker or
I have not. I do want to because
driving on the left side of the road?
right. Well, that game is apparently that game is finished. Like they have like you can fucking play Europe and Russia. Like it's the entire European and Russian continent. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, it's cool.
Cool.
Your number 3 game is also my number 3 game, Charlie. So we can actually talk about this together.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
Among Us, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I've regurgitated this a lot in this podcast, but Among Us, the game that surprised us the most this year in a wonderful way. This game was nothing. I mean, it barely blipped on my radar until all of a sudden people were talking about it, and then I tried it with some random people, and I was like, okay, this might have something. Like, I could see the appeal of this, and I'm like, oh, we got to get our buddies together on a Friday night to do this thing, and oh, just so many wonderful memories of just like creeping around. My brother with his Jason mask, always suspicious. Um, Poor Sean dying in the electric room all the time, every time.
Every time. Me
Um,
murdering Aaron every time.
Hugh murdering Aaron, Ryan, jumping into an event and saying it was a DLC for the
Yeah.
for people that no one purchased.
Nick claiming he never heard
That
of or played the game as the killer,
a-hole.
and he
God,
almost
it's
got
still
almost
killing
got away with the entire thing.
Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot about just I mean, so many good times. I mean, and like even like the weekend that you missed, like gosh, we had like my niece on there, and she invited a couple of her friends, and Marissa was on as well, and we were having a fun time as well. It's just it brings about to light what video games kind of used to be. Like video games can be, a place of escapism where you just go on a trek by yourself, single player, and just go on a journey, rescue a princess, etc., or save a kingdom. But sometimes, like just the interaction with the people that you play with can really, really drive the successes of a game like this. And yes, the game is very, very simple. Um, on the surface, it's one hidden imposter, a whole bunch of crewmates, and they're trying to do these menial tasks while the imposter constantly tries to kill them. The offline modes that people have developed from this, like playing tag or whatever as they call it, Or hide and seek as well. Like, just cranking up the speed and saying, "Oh, I'm in the posture, get out of here." And so you're just running around. Like, there's been so many like variations of this game within a game that have developed from this. And it's just like, if there were a bright, like, if there are little bright spots here and there in 2020, and this is definitely one of them for me.
100%. I mean, to be honest, I don't have really anything to add to that. Like that, you said exactly my thoughts on it too. It's just the thing that's striking to me,
$5
$5 or free
or free.
free, and it's about to be out on everything. It's gonna, it's out on Switch, it's out on Game Pass PC, it's gonna be on Xbox, it'll be on PS4, PS5.
Yeah.
It'll be on everything. And I think the thing that really strikes me is that it doesn't matter how old you are. You can totally enjoy that game. Our friend's kid likes to play it.
The radio show that we listened to, those guys played it. And
almost 80-year-old Norm playing it and knows how to play it right.
Yeah, a sports radio savant who's like,
he knows the word
barely
sus.
make it through 1-1 of Super Mario Brothers.
Right.
He's extremely good at that game because it's not just about the game, it's about talking your way out of a situation or killing people at the right exact time or right exact place, etc., etc. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. It's
Sorry,
great.
I didn't mean to step on you there.
No, you're 100% right though. Yeah, it's fantastic. I think we've said all we need to say about it. Charlie, number 2, give it to me.
Number 2 is the first game that I ever streamed, and it is Cuphead.
Mm-hmm.
And that game is such a delight. The first time we saw videos of this game at E3, it literally was like in like a indie collage feature where we were like, what is that? Like, wait, hold on, go back to that game. Like, I don't care about these other games, go back to that one.
Yeah.
And it conjures up and pretty much gets to a T the golden years of animation, where we had all these old school cartoons from like the 20s up into the 50s and such, and they make a very, very awesome platforming slash, I don't know, what would you call a game, like a side-scrolling plane game, kind of like akin to a Gradius or
I mean
type.
The easy term is just platformer, 2D platformer.
Sure, and like that's what it is, on the surface. But then you have these momentous boss rushes, basically, where they are about as lively of an art type as I've ever seen regarding video games. The video game is, I keep saying video game, but when I play, I was about to say watch it. When I play the game, it feels like I'm watching an interactive cartoon all the time. And that game also, like, as cute and as whimsy as it appears on the surface, it is not for the faint of heart. It is hard. Mm-hmm. It is a very, very challenging game. Now, that being said, obviously when you look at it and you're like, oh, if I had just gone that way or whatever, this way, it appears very, very easy. But it is definitely a game that when you play, like, if you've seen my streams, you can understand. I spent an hour trying to freaking defeat this dragon, and I got this cathartic rush of emotion when I finally toppled the beast, and I just wanted to yell out to the world, like, but knowing that my son is literally like sleeping, a room over, I just could not do it. But I had to let loose something. And that game, like, if the other game weren't played this year, I would argue for that as my number one game played this year.
It's an amazing thing, that game. The look, the feel of it, just watching. It's really a special game. Cuphead for sure. You got anything else on Cuphead?
I mean, just one thing I want to add to Cuphead. Other games will try to do things like this where they like say, hey, we've captured the essence of this
Yes.
particular, look and this particular feel. And it will get 99% there. This one gets it 100% to the T. I know that there are issues regarding color blindness that a lot of people have purported regarding this game that have made them kind of shy away. I get that.
Sure.
And unfortunately, I don't have that. But, or fortunately, you know what I mean. But this game for me, maybe it is also the fact that this was the first game that I streamed for you guys, and I was completely nervous. But once I sat in my chair and granted, once I sat in my chair and I started playing, I guarantee you, it took me like 3 or 4 times just to like get into the stream of things. And even then, I'm like, okay, now I've got the feel. Now I remember, the movements, how fast things are going, whatever. It was still a daunting task just to beat the platforming levels. The controls feel really, really crisp. They really, really clean. It does what you want it to do at the exact moments you do it. And when you die in that game, it is your fault.
Right.
It is no fault of like, oh, the controller lagged here or whatever. You are 100% liable for everything that happens to you in that game. And that's what I really, really like about it.
Yeah. It's great.
That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I have to say about that. Fantastic. And that's your number 2. My numero dos is Rocksmith 2014. So in 2020, thanks to pandemic and being home all the time and blah, 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 I kind of fell back in love with playing music, both guitar and bass, but I really fell in love with the bass. And the tool that really helped me get way better was Rocksmith 2014. I guess if you want to get technical, it's less of a game and more of a tool to learn how to play these instruments. But you're scoring points, blah blah blah. So it's a game. But yeah, it's back in the day when we played Guitar Hero and Rock Band, it was a simulation of playing music, especially like you got kind of close with the drums. But I mean, it's not really playing. But Rocksmith absolutely is a tool that, hey, you want to learn how to play guitar or play bass guitar? This is something you can use to do it in a way that is simple. It is easy to read. It is easy to understand what they're trying to get you to do. And yeah, it's an incredible tool. I also this year discovered that I had a PC that could run it, and because I had a PC that could run it, I could download custom-made downloadable content and basically have any song ever produced to download and play guitar and bass on, which was really cool. Thanks to the DMCA stuff, I'm kind of hesitant to play Rocksmith anymore on stream, but when I did do it on stream, it was definitely some of the more fun streams that I did, getting people's requests, failing shit that you guys tried to get me to play. Hey, Mitch, play Tool. Like, okay, well, I mean, if you want to watch me fail. But yeah, it's a really incredible tool that, the rumors are that development team at Ubisoft is working on something new. Nobody knows what it is, but I hope it's another... Not necessarily just straight Rocksmith, but, they're able to iterate and evolve what they have done with Rocksmith and Rocksmith 2014. And the rumor is that they're working on drums, where you can play drums.
Drumsmith?
Yeah, they're working on where it's able to pick up drum.
Damn.
Whether it's from putting microphones on acoustic drums or with an electric drum set. I've got a drum set in my garage, just waiting.
Now play some Tool.
Shit. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. When that comes out, I'll fail it on guitar, bass, and drums for you. And if they probably had vocals, I'd probably fail that as well because I can't sing like that guy. But anyway, so yeah, Rocksmith 2014 is my number 2 game. Charlie, what is your game of the year?
Well, if you know me,
Which I do.
you know that I am a huge Spider-Man fan.
You are.
And my obvious game of this year that I played happens to be a game from this year. It is the new Spider-Man Miles Morales game.
Yes, sir.
That game has actually made me question whether the Peter Parker version of Spider-Man is my favorite Spider-Man now.
Mm-hmm.
The story is very good and is very relatable to me, a minority. Obviously, I don't have a best friend who developed high-tech gadgets and became a supervillain, but
I mean, I've got some shit back here.
yeah. um, it definitely plucks at my heartstrings a lot. This game, when I beat this game, I nearly damn cried on stream. Like,
I was there.
the ending of this game definitely, tugs at the heartstrings. But to dive deeper into this game, this game takes all the mechanics from Marvel's Spider-Man and I won't say improves upon it, but it goes in different directions with it that definitely differentiate Peter Parker Spider-Man versus Miles Morales Spider-Man. Miles Morales has the Venom Strike. He's got the ability to disappear. So there's a lot different ways that you can approach stealth areas. That being said, that because this Spider-Man has the Venom Strike, there is definitely a different villain set when it comes to the minions, not just the bosses in the game, but like the minions. They're definitely a lot more beefier because you have the beefier weaponry and the beefier skills. The game is a lot more streamlined than Marvel's Spider-Man. I know there was a lot of argument in regards to how big the first Spider-Man game was. It's definitely more open world than this one is. There's a lot of tasks that you can do. I like them. I like doing those tasks. There was so much in that world that was, I won't say new to me, but I will say familiar to me because I played a lot of Grand Theft Auto 4, Liberty City, which is about, as close as New York City got to me at the time in regards to video games. Then, going to New York, being there, and then seeing this game really, really brought those feels about when I first stepped off the plane and walked through New York. The way it carries you through the campaign and through the story is very seamless. It's very quick. And so now at this point in my life where I've got a lot of fatherly duties to do, my career is taking me in certain directions as well. There's less time to just kind of do the side stuff and be like, okay, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to beat some Taskmaster levels over there, et cetera, et cetera. If there was one thing I really wish this game had, it was a better villain subset. But at the same time, all games should not have that because then it just gets stale. You're like, oh my God, I've got it. There's like 5 different villains here or whatever. And I guess I've got to go through different tiers of villains to get to the ultra villain. And, I'm going to have to fight 2 of them. Sometimes it's better simplicity. Sometimes more is less. Sometimes less is more. And for this game, especially how the relationship between Miles Morales and specific characters in this game worked, that worked for me a lot with this game. There were bugs in this game, which I get. There was one moment where, Mitch, you were on my stream. I literally clipped into a building and I could not get out.
And you were stuck forever. It was your
I
new
was,
home.
yep, I was perpetually stuck in a building that had nothing in it, even though I could see all the outside world. It's not without its, little kinks. It's, I wouldn't say that this is like a perfect video game, but for me, it was a perfect ride. It was a perfect journey through a new story of Spider-Man that I'm familiar with. I mean, I've read more of the traditional Spider-Man stories than I have Miles Morales. I'm actually catching up on a lot of his Ultimate stories, as I've bought some graphic novels to kind of fill in the holes there. But this one got to me in a way where as soon as I was done, I was like, okay, what can I do next? Um, when can I play this again? And that was just me offline. When I was playing the damn thing, there are not moments better feeling than playing this game. It was the same thing with the original Spider-Man is web slinging. Shoot, half the time I was literally talking to the chat, just saying, "Well, how are you guys doing today? What are y'all up to?" And I'm literally just web slinging. I'm not even doing a mission. It was just fun to like, okay, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna jump off this building. It's the controls for this game are seamless. It does what I want it to do. I mean, just like Cuphead did. Granted, there were a couple of fluffs where I was like, okay, no, I want to jump out the building this way. But again, that was my fault, and that's the weird, the smaller PS4 controller. Um, this game is the complete package, and I was honestly sad. Like, I had told you before, when it comes to the very end of a game, I get scared, or I don't get scared. I get kind of like nervous, and I stop playing it because I was like, okay, I'm not gonna keep playing it. But because of the stream, and just because honestly, by sheer happen chance, I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna do a mission tonight, and it literally showed you that little warning saying like, are you sure you want to do this? There's no turning back. Basically saying this is end game. Mm-hmm. You're not. We're not going anywhere from here. This is the last mission. And part of me was saddened by that because I was like, oh, I want more of this. I want more of this world. I'm already jonesing for the next Marvel Spider-Man, like already, like, because I know that they're going to combine the two eventually, like especially with like the after credits little teaser that Marvel loves to do. There's going to be a component of this where I'm like, okay, you need to get a PS5 or you need to get a PS5 because I want someone to play this game with me, because I know that this is going to be one of those like, dual experiences together where, yes, I'm going to play by myself, but I want to see this played, with another person, two of us web slinging through the city and having a good time beating up bad guys.
Yeah, man.
So
yeah, it seems like a very special game. Watching you play it, and that's when I do eventually get a PS5, that'll be one of the first games that I want to try out for it. Especially.
I'll say one last thing about this.
Yeah.
I'll take a quote that you said. I wish a woman would look at me the way you look at this video game.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
I will not hide the fact that I was literally like enamored and like in love with this video game, and people could see it on my face.
Yeah.
Period.
It seems like a joyous game for sure. And that's your number one game of the year. And what's great about that is that it's a game that came out in 2020.
Yep.
Mine did not come out in 2020. My game came out quite a long time ago, and that game is Donkey Kong 64.
I wish Stern were here.
Is my game of the year. Nope, just kidding. That game sucks shit. No, my game of the year, obvious. I mean, that's all I talk about. Rocket League is the game of the year for me. I talk about Rocket League every week. I talk about it in my sleep. I talk about it on all of my streams because all I seem to do on streams now is play Rocket League. It's just a fantastic game. They have, over the 5 years that the game has been out, they have refined it and worked on it to get the controls to be absolutely perfect. Everything about that game is perfect for what it is supposed to be. It is, we talk about competitive games a lot on this podcast. To me, there is no better competition than Rocket League. Really good Rocket League competition. Whether you're playing in tournaments, whether you're playing in, competitive ranked, or even in the casual, it's just the competition in that game when it's strong. There's just nothing like it to me in a video game. This doesn't have necessarily anything to do with the game itself, but I think that the esports scene for that game is better than any other game. The Rocket League Championship Series, I think, is some of the most engaging television that you can watch. Like, I think it's better than Call of Duty. I think it's better than Madden. I think it's better than all of those games. I think there's just nothing like the Rocket League Championship Series either. With some of the big names that if you watch it more than one or two times, you know some of their names, your Rizzos and Justins and Garrett G's. You start to understand who these people are, and the everything about that game is just perfect. The way that they handle their Rocket Pass stuff is really cool. You pay your $10 each time, and you get a car. You get variations of the car. You get variations on some of the stuff. They do it right with that cosmetic stuff, and there are times where I feel like that their ranking system is a little off. Like this season, I feel like the ranking is a little off, and people are ranked higher than they should be. But maybe that's just me. It's probably just me. But it's them. So yeah, it really is just an incredible game, and there's no game this year that comes even close to the amount of time that I put into it, the amount of fun that I've put into it, the amount of anger that I have put into it. I have gotten fucking angry at this game. Yelling and cussing and just, But, it's a game that came out in 2015. And it's still, I had a big hiatus in there, but the what that game is to me, like at this point, I think I'm ready to be like, yeah, it's my favorite game of all time now. Like, I think it's gone up over Mario World. I've put in 10 days of play, and that's actual in game. So I'm over 250 hours, and and like Nick's in the thousands, our friend Nick. And if I don't get to the thousands, then there's something wrong. I think it's going to happen. It's incredible. I love it so much.
Be said about a game that you get angry over.
Oh, dude, I get so you know how back in the day you would get angry playing like GoldenEye or old Smash Brothers, games like that.
Sure.
That you were just so into. That's or NFL Blitz, like a bad beat in NFL Blitz. That's kind of like this. A bad beat in Rocket League. Oh man, you will get mad. And I get mad. I get really fucking competitive. I am like Nick sitting there playing and something bad happened. He's like, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. It's really something. But yeah, that's my game of 2020. That's the game that just, I love it so much. I love it so much. Josh, you're probably right. You should be afraid. Everybody should be afraid to play with me. I get mad. So that's our personal list. Charlie, we got to put together our Mount CRUSHmore.
Sure.
We gotta take 4 games, and we need to put it on this list. There's 5 letters here, but we only need 4. So I think it's obvious.
I honestly don't think this is going to be as hard as.
No, well, because here's the thing: obviously both of our game of the years make the list, right? Spider-Man, and then Rocket League, both make the list. So
there's a hyphen in Spider-Man. So.
Oh, shut up! Then you type it, dipshit. So. Would you like for me to give a nomination?
Well, yeah.
I think
it's coming down to like.
I think Among Us makes our list, and 2 reasons. One, it's high on our list, and it's the only one we put on there that matches both our list.
Sure.
I think Among Us makes it. Now, after that, we might have a battle, because the 4th one is going to be tough, just because we have a lot of different games, like different styles of games from then on. I'm
working at
I
synchronizing these lists.
I can't put Rocksmith on there, just because, 1, technically it's not a game, and then 2, I mean, it's something that you just have not touched. You don't have anything, and so it's hard for me to take a game where there's so little interest from the other side, not in a negative way. You just don't to put on there.
Well, I have interest, but I'm an interested observer. I'm not the person to be like, oh, hey, I want to go play that.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to watch you play that game all day long, but, I will never pick up a guitar.
Exactly. So from there, it's kind of tough. On our joint list here. I mean, is there anything that you feel has an argument to be on this list? If you just take everything as a whole, whether we've played it, we had interest in seeing the other play it, or just interest in the game in general, is there anything that really sticks out to you?
Well, I'm trying to.
Also, it doesn't have to be on our top 5 lists. It can also come from the honorable mentions as well.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to look to see what's kind of crossing over. Until Dawn's not on here.
I mean, Fall Guys is one that we played together a lot. We did do Jackbox a lot. We did Marbles together, but again, I don't know if I declare that a game. Your dog agrees.
I know. We are stretching the limits of this podcast. I can already tell.
So I think to me, and let me know what you think. I think the two candidates for number 4 are Fall Guys, and I think Hitman 2. And I think Hitman 2 is a nominee for that because you did play a good portion of it. I know that we tend not to let the outside affect our decision making, but we took in a lot of Hitman via other ways as well, besides just us playing or being directly involved with it, and had a good time viewing or being kind of in close proxy to it, whether it be Giant Bomb or, Josh, other people. Obviously on the Fall Guys side, we have something, we have something that we both played. We both really, really enjoyed, something that surprised us. And so that's what I think that's an argument for it to be there as well. Curious what you think.
Well, my initial thought when you say that, like, I don't want to be greedy here. um, I would love to put Hitman 2 on this list for like several reasons. I played it and like, God, if we had those moments again where we're just walking around and it's like, hey, you need to play this game, we would be kicking your butt to play it. But I know that, like, you've got other interests or whatever. And one day, we're going to get you to play this game.
I'll get there.
Fall Guys was definitely a thing in 2020 that we were super, super excited about. And we played white hot when it first started.
Mm-hmm.
But then just kind of tapered off.
What about Cuphead?
I mean, you're saying my top games. You're not going to get a lot of like, I'm not going to fight it.
So I'm going to do this again, like I did with God of War Ragnarok. I'm going to pitch you on your game making this list. I think there's an argument for you, and I'm making this assumption. I think there's an argument that you could make in your specific head, Charlie, that Cuphead was the best game you played this year.
Oh yeah.
I think Spider-Man goes there, one, because Spider-Man is your favorite thing ever. You love Spider-Man, you love everything about Spider-Man, and of course, it's a great game. Going by just my side of it, out of everything that you personally played this year on stream, the thing that I thought was your best streams in terms of viewing and just everything that kind of goes around in it was Cuphead. Because Cuphead plays incredibly well to a stream with its look.
Oh God, yeah.
With the fact that we get to watch you yell at it, and when you watch it enough, you can see bullshit coming from a mile away that you tend to not see. It's like, shit, he's about to get fucking mad.
Yeah.
And then 100% of the time, what happens? You get fucking mad.
They're definitely, I clipped the most out of all the games here. That one definitely had like a lot of its, moments of like, oh, I've got to clip that, or I got to remember to go back and clip this. And
sure. And I think
trying to navigate playing that game while talking to a chat at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Just it's insanity. And I think if you were to ask me, hey, what are the things that both Charlie and Chris, if you were like, okay, they're streamers, what do you think about first? To me, I think Cuphead, just because of you played that from stem to stern. We went through the ups and downs of watching it. Like for me, obviously it's Rocket League. I do that the most, and it's the thing that I talk about the most. And I think putting it on this list as a group makes sense because it's the thing that Rocket League is the thing that, quote, I'm not known for anything. We're not known for anything, but in terms of our group together, I'm known for the Rocket League, and to me, I think for you, it is Cuphead in that series that you did, and I think it being on that list fits, kind of what we're trying to accomplish with the CRUSHmore.
Just want to look at it.
Yeah, just look at it. Just look at it. I mean, it looks pretty good, right? Looks pretty good. I don't know. It doesn't do. Yeah, that doesn't do as much for me. Okay. Well, all right. What about this? What about this? What about this? What do you think about that?
Sturm would like it. He just typed in Donkey Kong 64 for fourth place.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Not
no, I
fourth
mean,
place, one of the four. This is in no
I'm
order.
not, again, it's hard for me to, because, this is a bipartisan partnership or whatever you want to call it. I'm cool with Cuphead being the fourth game on this list because again, I've already professed all my love for that game, how much fun I had, the late nights that I would put into that game, the day after that we would talk about this game, just like, hey, Cuphead, da 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 da, like, oh my god, you got to play this. And when it came out on like PlayStation or on the PlayStation Store, like was it a few weeks after I had started that thing, I was like, oh man, what a boom. But
Yeah, and
yeah, like
just thinking of it from the idea of as a duo, like
yeah,
Spider-Man and Rocket League, those are our games of the year. They have to be on there. Like they're to me, there's just no, you can't not put them there. Among Us is a game that we played together almost exclusively, aside from here and there. Like I feel like that has to be there. And when talking about another game that needs to be on the list, when you run out of games we both have really enjoyed together, I think the next step is looking at, well, okay, so you played Cuphead, you enjoyed Cuphead. I need to find something that I enjoyed being on the other side of it the most. And Hitman 2, I enjoyed it from watching Josh.
sure,
And this is not a swipe at Josh, but we're not he's not the MC Gamescast.
yeah,
You played Cuphead. You played Resident Evil, which was fun to watch too. You played Donkey Kong, which was interesting to watch too. But out of everything you did, to me, the Cuphead stuff is the stuff that stood out the most. That I enjoyed.
I still remember all the moments.
Just so great. Like Spider-Man was cool, and so I think if we're just talking about, hey, as a group, what stuck out for us, I think these four games are, I think, really what it kind of was about this year.
Yeah, I'm down, man.
All right then.
It looks good to me.
All right. Our Mount CRUSHmore, in no particular order: Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Rocket League, Among Us, and Cuphead.
Some damn good games, man.
Hell yeah, man. And yeah, and hopefully in 2021 we'll be able to play more stuff that comes out in the same year. We'll see about that. But I kind of like that we kind of kept it open to just kind of everything we played. Because I don't think we would have had enough had we been like only 20. We'd be like, okay, so let's talk about Spider-Man, and everything else we didn't play.
Well, that's our format. It's we don't cover just games of the now. We cover the games of yesteryear where
hell yeah.
As much as we would love to work in the video gaming industry, we don't. And we've got work and we have lives and these are what we can get to. And so when time permits, and obviously the best games aren't going to always come out. Like obviously there's going to be dead moments like, during the summertime or whatever. And so we're definitely going to go retreat back to like what's good, because I'd rather put my time into what's good than something that's bad. So.
Yeah, for sure. And 2021 should be great. All right, I'm gonna go over the categories once more, and then we're gonna take this out.
Write it in stone.
That's right. The biggest news story of 2020: the pandemic taking over the lives of the gaming and the development community, with runners-up Microsoft buying Bethesda and Cyberpunk 2027's or 2077's year. The most surprising game of the year, Among Us, with the runners-up Fall Guys and Super Mario 35 on the disappointing side. The top 2020 game that'll be lost in the wash and probably will be never played by us, Last of Us Part 2, is the winner with Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Demon's Souls.
Sorry.
We're so sorry. But on the other side, the top 2020 game that will be played in 2021 that we regret this year not playing, Ghost of Tsushima is the winner, with Doom Eternal and Cyberpunk 2077 runners-up. And the most anticipated 2021 game, Back 4 Blood, is our winner, with Hitman 3 and God of War Ragnarok as runners-up. Charlie, why don't you go down your top 5 for us real quick? Top 5 games.
My top 5. Number 1, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 2, Cuphead. Number 3, Among Us. Number 4, Mario Kart Deluxe from the Switch. And number 5, Hitman 2.
Beautiful. Good list, dude. My top 5. Rocket League is my game of the year. No shit. Number 2, Rocksmith 2014. Number 3, Among Us. Number 4, American Truck Simulator. And number 5, Battlefield 5. And our Mount CRUSHmore, in no particular order, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Rocket League, Among Us, and Cuphead. That's 2021. Nope, that's 2020. We're not here yet.
We're not there yet.
I'm doing great. Charlie.
I'm doing great.
We have come to the end.
Yay.
Of the first year of the MC Gamescast. We have done 21 regular episodes. This is number 22. It's not an officially numbered one, but it's number 22. This has been a fucking blast. We ain't here to announce no fucking retirements. We're coming back for another year, and we're gonna do this thing up. We're gonna do this more. I'm doing great. No, we're gonna keep doing this. Thank you to everybody that listens and watches live, VOD, wherever you guys are watching it. Hell, give us
listening to us.
Yeah, man.
Give us listening on the podcast.
Yeah, give us a call. We'll yell the podcast at you if you want. Don't do that, actually. But yeah, but thank you guys for always checking us out. You guys are the reason why we keep doing this. You show just enough interest, or not. That's not how I want to say that. You guys show interest in it, and that keeps us wanting to do it more in federal interest. As I shoot the heroin in. But that is 2020. Charlie, do you have any closing thoughts for 2020 as we get played out by the music?
I can't wait to play Hades. No, thank you again. Merry Christmas, and have a happy New Year. Have a safe one. Have a good one. Socially distanced.
Yeah, stay healthy.
Open those presents.
Open those presents under that tree. Stay healthy, everybody. Yes, Merry Christmas to all. Happy New Year to all. We will be back. We'll be back. We haven't discussed exactly what we're doing next week, but we'll figure something out. We got to talk.
We'll be back.
We'll be back for sure. Charlie, you doing anything special this week, the remainder of the week?
I am Christmas.
You are Christmas.
We are doing Christmas, and I am currently skimming through the Steam holiday sale, and holy moly. We're not sponsored by Steam, but go Steam. Get there's some good prices on some stuff.
I'll have to check that out. I may do a stream tonight. I may do a stream tomorrow night for Christmas Eve. Then, of course, Christmas, probably not. And then we'll be back on regularly scheduled programming soon enough. Charlie, thank you so much for doing this podcast with me. It's always great times. We'll get some guests in starting with the new year. Christmas tree. I've got some Pico Pica hot sauce here. That's the best I've got for Christmas because all the Christmas stuff is in the other room. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for Charlie Zarzuela. I am Mitchell Barrett. This is the MC Gamescast for 2020. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Merry Christmas.